Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 489.
Schwebby has us. I saw he got a win. I think he's at like 392 or, yeah.
All right,
or
all right.
292?
No, probably more like 392.
392, I think it is.
Or more. Nonetheless, congrats to Schwebby. There's a lot of congrats that are going to get thrown around today. A pretty exciting podcast that we're excited to bring you guys here tonight. Things a little bit crazy going on in, what is it, just about the third week of January. We've been constantly talking about how kind of there's this slog during the off season when things really just come to a complete crawl because there's not a lot of news, there's not a lot of movement and excitement, a few sponsorship departures, a few arrivals, some of that. But this last week,
two of arguably the biggest names in our sport announced their new sponsors.
Yes. So that just took place over the last couple of days. We're excited to talk to both of them. And just like last week, we're going to have an exclusive brand new sponsorship announcement coming by the guy that's sandwiched between these other two we were just talking about, one Batman, Dutch Napier.
If you're Dutch and you want to announce a new sponsor, no better time than to go between Eagle and Gannon. Like, everybody's watching, you might as well announce.
I mean, the one guy in the world that has a Smashbox tattoo,
we give him the love.
He gets that special treatment. So we're going to have him, and then we're going to have Gannon, and all of that means we're kicking off with none other than one Eagle McMahon here tonight. Eagle, team MVP, Happy New Year. Wow, how does the release of pressure, excitement, anticipation, how does that all feel?
I can go outside again.
Okay, fair enough. Were you being like bothered or by people like when you would go outside, or did you just like all right, I'm changing out all my clothes for MVP. I guess I can't wear anything. Like, what's the how come you can't go outside?
No, I mean it is funny because I go to this gym in Boulder, and I thought there was like almost no disc golfers there, and I was like filling up my water bottle, and I hear someone say, "When's the announcement?" And I think they're talking to someone else, and then I like do a double take. I look over, they're looking right at me, and I'm like, "The announcement? What are you talking about?" This is before like anything was put out. And I'm like, what's your name?
Who hired you? Who sent you?
You really got to get
Foundation Spy?
Yeah. I was going to say, you really have to get their screen name because, as you know, we've talked about before, there were rumors out there that you were going to MVP. It was, I don't know if leaked is the right word, because most of it is probably speculation. Someone heard something from somebody. How do you feel that some of that stuff gets out? Does it come from the factory? Does it come from yourself, where like maybe you tell somebody in confidence and they just can't keep their mouth shut? Like, hey, Dad, I said, cut it, Pat. You know, so how do you feel that stuff gets out?
So I actually think we did a really good job at keeping things secret. I think the speculation is just what overtook everything. And there became so much speculation that it almost became real. That's what it felt like. Because I think if I wasn't staying at Discmania, MVP was the place that everybody wanted me to be. So I think that comes from a lot of people just hoping. Not that many people really knew. Like Simon knew. Obviously, the people on MVP side, Discmania obviously knew that I left, but I didn't even tell anybody there where I was going. So I think it was just a lot of people putting two and two together, which created the general outline. But generally speaking, I'm happy that it never like truly leaked.
Yeah, because I did see, I mean, I would say up until about a week ago, there was a lot of speculation, like Eagles going to MVP, like this is where he's heading. And then over the last week, I saw quite a bit of, well, maybe it's Innova. Like, I could see that. And some people are like, well, you know, I think Discraft hasn't made their team announcement yet. And there was a lot of extra the last week, a lot of second guessing as far as what was going on. So I think you guys did a pretty good job.
I saw this. Was this real? There was actually Vegas bets on where I was going to go.
That I did not hear. Could it be true? Possibly. I think that would be pretty crazy because clearly there's an insider somewhere that definitely knew that, probably kept their mouth shut. Obviously, as you just said, some people knew. That would be pretty crazy to have that unfold. But
my grandpa told me that. Like my grandpa was been like watching all the podcasts about where I'm going, and he knows where I was going. So I was actually scared that my grandpa was going to leak.
Grandpa lays down a fat C note in Vegas on Eagle going to MVP.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, kind of keeping in that text, I have so many questions, but right in that same line of thinking, Ricky Wysocki has specifically said, hey, you're not going to hear anything from my camp. Even if I know, you're not going to hear player announcement and player stuff from my camp. I want that star, whomever it is, to shine and have that moment. Is that, do you commend that? Do you respect that? Do you care, as a fellow competitor to him? Is that kind of a notion you take as well? Or how do you react to Ricky's perspective?
Yeah, I definitely saw what Ricky said, and I definitely appreciate his input. And I see the whole picture because of course I didn't want anybody leaking it because there's a lot resting on the whole deal for all parties involved. So I think having it out in the public when it's not supposed to be isn't a good thing. But I also see how many disc golf podcasts, they get their content from things along those lines. So I'm like in the middle ground, like just because I don't necessarily like it doesn't mean I don't think it should exist. So I understand both sides, but being a player, I know that I would always want to keep a secret if someone asked me to. And if somebody is going to a big manufacturer, I know the implications of that, making a big move. So I know that I'd always keep my mouth shut, and I do respect Ricky for making that post, even though that I think it's unlikely that people aren't this conversation is going to happen next year, the year after. It just is what it is.
Now, with all of that, I'll confide in that at Ledgestone, I had the pleasure of going out on my birthday with Simon. We ended up going to the casino, turned into a late night and a good time. We were sitting there, I believe, at about 3 a.m. finally as the night was wrapping up. Your name came up, and not that everyone should know. I have friends and real friend conversations, and then I have, my hat as a disc golf guy and as a media personality, and I'd like to think I keep them very separate and have no problem doing that. So I was at no point like poking around, but Simon admitted at that point, when your name did come up, he said, I could see him leaving, but MVP was not necessarily a front runner, or he didn't necessarily think MVP was a place that you would be heading. So I guess my question is, A, was he telling me the truth? And B, what were other conversations with manufacturers before you landed on MVP?
Right. So he was not lying.
Okay.
Around August. So this is my contract year, or 2023 was. I signed a 3-year deal with Discmania. I knew going into this year that something was going to happen, whether I re-sign with Discmania or I go somewhere new. And if I were to bet on it, I would have probably said that I was going to stay with Discmania. But as time went on, I said this on the Nick and Matt show, or Staggered Stance, but essentially there's a darker side. I wouldn't say call it dark, but a side to disc golf where it can be very repetitive out on the road, and going to Emporia, Kansas, 2 times a year for the last decade can take a toll on you. And the fact is, switching it up sometimes is exactly what you might need. Trying something new. And as the year went on, the more and more I felt like I wanted a change, especially being good friends with Simon, seeing his switch and seeing like him throwing this new plastic, and it almost feels like he had a complete renewal of his love for disc golf. And like the the part of disc golf that I remember going to the disc golf store, trying out new discs. I felt like I lost that for a period of time. And that's not to say that it wasn't exciting when Discmania came out with a new disc. That was amazing. But to have, I don't even know, there's 80 plus discs in the whole MVP lineup. And those are all pretty much new to me to explore, try, feel. I just felt like a kid again. And this was a big part of why I was looking elsewhere. And I wanted to get that spark back. And a lot of people have talked about it too. Like when Paul switched from Innova to Discraft, it's like you instead of having to go out and practice, you want to go out and practice. And that's exactly how I feel right now.
So were there any other talks with other manufacturers? I mean, did you go knock on Innova's, or did they knock on your door? Discraft, whoever in House of Discs. I mean, I don't know how exactly that's working these days, but were you in communication at all with other companies, or was MVP kind of just the perfect fit, so to speak?
Right. Out of respect for other companies, I won't name names, but there was a handful of companies that my agency reached out to. I told them that, okay, I would like to see what they have to offer. And essentially my agent put together a little portfolio pitching Eagle McMahon to those companies and saying what we want, how can we collaborate, what can they offer, things along those lines. And I had talks with a few different companies, obviously including Discmania. So at the end, MVP showed the most promise. And I want to say this too, like the offers were competitive with everybody. And obviously I have Discmania is the only disc manufacturer I ever had, and I owe everything to them. I'm extremely grateful. I just did a signing session up there, and I hugged everybody at the warehouse. I absolutely love those guys, and I want to see them thrive and excel in every way possible. But for the next 5 years, I felt like MVP has the most promise of any other company in disc golf, and I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to reunite with Simon. I wanted to throw all their discs. I wanted to try gyro out. So I feel like it was the place for me to be when you looked at the bigger picture. And everybody at the MVP that I've met, Brad and Chad, the two owners, it's incredible what they've built. I mean, the warehouse, their technology, and just their passion. When I went up there to Michigan last week, they have bedrooms in the warehouse, and they don't leave the warehouse because they love their work so much. And that's just it's absolutely incredible. Talking with Chad, who's their disc designer, talking about what we can create in the future, giving me science lessons on how discs fly. I'm like, this is where I need to be. And the fact that they shared that stuff with me, I already just feel very special.
So the 5-year contract with MVP, we know that, I mean, even today there was a we'll say a little with the release video, Simon and the Pixel. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. Simon's got 2 discs in the Simon line. Are we going to see some sort of Eagle line? And is there a clever name for it yet?
So for right now, there's not going to be an Eagle line. That could potentially change in the future. And with other companies, they were offering an Eagle line, but I actually declined it because I feel like everyone, or at least a lot of big players, are getting their own line right now. And I don't think saturating the market's a good idea at this time. Plus, one aspect of the MVP contract, it's allowed me to be the most free out of the other offers I had. And I still have a lot that I want to accomplish in my career. And I feel like with the structure of this contract, I'm able to really focus on my game. That's not to say I still want to do a lot of cool promotional stuff, a lot of content on my YouTube channel, but I feel like I'm a true disc golf athlete now. And it's a really cool opportunity that I can essentially just go out and compete. So at least for the first year, 2 years, we're just doing Signature Series discs. If I start excelling with their product, World Championship, Elite Series, then maybe talk about an Eagle line. But I also want James to fill out his line, Simon to fill out his line a little bit more before stepping on their toes. I want to support them first and foremost.
Please share with us everything you can about what your contract consists of. Because there's, I'm sure, a million rumors.
Or restrictions.
Or restrictions, but I'm sure there's a million rumors. And then, to be fair, there's clearly some bars that have been set, some standards or perceived standards, and then even new ceilings that have been hit, going back to Paul, Ricky, obviously Simon, who is descript, but kind of not. Give us everything you can share about the details of your contract, and if that's on you or if that's on MVP in terms of what you're looking to share.
Yeah, I'd say right now we're trying to keep things pretty confidential in terms of the earnings and everything. I will say that I am very well taken care of, and it was a very good offer. And I don't want to get too deep into it because with legal reasons, all parties involved. But yeah, I'm happy with the contract. 5 years. We can expect Signature Series discs each year, and I think the one thing that I can say is that there's a portion of the contract that's not based off royalties, which a lot of companies are purely royalty. So that's something that was unique to the MVP contract that I really appreciate.
Yeah, and with that, I was going to say, can you tell us where the scales tip in terms of guaranteed versus, like you said, royalties versus maybe even performance or bonus based? Because I feel like every player has a slightly different perspective of a guaranteed amount versus, hey, I mean,
to be honest, it feels like a lot of the bigger names these days, performance bonuses maybe aren't even that big of a deal.
I feel like, yeah, every player's a little different. So that's why I guess, like, what were you concerned about in terms of a contract, whether it's MVP or anyone? What was some of the things you were looking for that a contract might consist of?
Right. Definitely a level of stability, because every company does it a little bit different. I don't want to get too much into the details because a lot of the financial stuff can be a little bit of taboo subject, and legally speaking, I don't want to get myself into any sort of hot water. But with the MVP deal, just the financial stability, getting a paycheck every month, being able to plan for the future, have retirement, things along those lines, to know that if disc golf isn't the thing, or at least this for me in 5-10 years, then I'm going to have something to fall back on. And that was one thing that I really wanted to make sure that I was doing, setting myself up for the future. That was first and foremost in terms of at least the financial aspect of it, and not having worries about it. Like, if I like to travel in a bunch of different ways. I like to take my van out to some events, but I also like to fly back and forth because I value my time back here in Colorado, because I have all my doctors, practitioners, friends back here that I feel recharged when I come back home. So to be able to travel essentially any way I want and not think about the financial side first and foremost, or at least less so, that was something moving forward that I think is going to help my game greatly when the rubber hits the road.
So do you have, with your contract, you talked about going to all these different events, and a lot of people right now are talking about their schedule, their 2024 schedule. I think the Dickersons announced theirs. I think maybe Paul even talked a little bit about his. Is there like a minimum number of events you need to hit? Are you even worried about that? Is it different the first year because of your shoulder? I mean, how is there anything about that you can kind of discuss, and how many? And if you can, tell us a little bit about what your 2024 is going to look like.
Yeah, so I think that this part of the contract I can share. They want me to play roughly around 20 events a year, give or take. This year is a little bit different because I am recovering off the surgery, so a little bit less will be fine. Chad, one of the owners, came and told me, like, don't don't be too hard on yourself this year. Like we want you for the long run, and we want you to focus on your health. So that was really nice for him. But yeah, for this year, I would say my goal is to get back out at Champions Cup. Before would be nice, but right at Champions Cup is right at the 6-month mark for my shoulder surgery, and that's right at the time where the doctor is good with giving me the okay to return to competition. So I feel like that fits pretty perfectly. So in theory, I won't miss a major this year, and I'll still be able to get around 16 to 17 major and Elite Series events for the season, which is a pretty solid year. So not missing out on too much, other than obviously a few cool events to start the year. I think Waco's an Elite Plus, which obviously I'd like to be at, but I'm focused on coming back as strong as I possibly can and learning a new bag. So right now, just doing my PT exercises religiously twice a day, and I get to begin my return to throwing program next month. I'm working with my PT as well as Seth Munsey to put together the perfect regimen to get me back out there and better than ever.
And I know it's now hopefully completely in the past, but if you could just clarify, maybe hopefully one final time, what exactly was wrong? What had you tried? And then what did you do differently this time? So it's crystal clear for everyone.
Yeah, so I can take you through the whole saga. It was in 2021. I sublexed my shoulder, which essentially means like a mild dislocation. It was at a Jomez shoot right before the Pro Tour finale. So it was the last event of the year. Yep. So I almost made it to the finish line. But I just thought I tweaked my shoulder, not playing one tournament, not a very big deal. Strengthened over the offseason, felt kind of okay, but was just a little bit off, felt like a little bit unstable, and I was kind of getting used to it. And, in retrospect, hindsight's 2020. I wish I got an MRI, figured out exactly what was going on. Went to Vegas, went to the All-Star event, played, and wasn't throwing forehands. Backhand felt okay, but I was so used to having a full game, backhand and forehand. So it threw me off a little bit. I can say mentally I wasn't really there, but after Vegas, I'm like, okay, something's wrong. I need to get an MRI. We found a torn labrum, and it was a mild tear in the labrum, which I'll revisit later because I don't even really, I know, but it's very mysterious what had happened. I figured, okay, I'm going to get back on the road. I'm going to get a stem cell treatment in the shoulder. What month was that? I think it was around May or June. So I went back out on the road. I played Champions Cup. I played Jonesboro, and I threw a forehand over the water, hole 6 at Jonesboro, shoulder sublexed, and then I went home like, okay, we got to get the stem cells. We got to do something. And I'm trying to go as conservative as possible because surgery's scary. Like, I don't care what anyone says, just to go, just be like, all right, I'm going to get surgery on my shoulder, which is my livelihood. I'm like, okay, I want to take any sort of different approach possibly for going under the knife. Got stem cells done, and I won European Open. So I was like, okay, maybe this is working.
I'm good.
I won a major without throwing a forehand. Everything was very promising, and while that was amazing when the major, it kind of set me back because if I was to start just playing after that, I might have figured out sooner or later that stem cells didn't do exactly what they needed to do. So it gave me this weird false confidence that I could just continue to rehab. So rest of the year, I played a few events, nothing crazy. 2022 was a really weird year. And then figuring everything was going to be okay, rehabbing the forehand, things were coming along. Sublexed my shoulder again in the winter doing an exercise. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, I'm too far in. I'm going to play this season to the best of my ability. And if things don't go the way I want to, then it's time for surgery. Had an underrated 2023 season, in my opinion. I didn't win any Elite Series, but I won 2 Pro Tour events on the silver. I think after Beaver State Fling, I didn't finish outside the top 10 until the Pro Tour Finals, which I got 11th, and that's a unique format. So I had a very solid year. Finished the year ranked number 1 on UDisc. So even with a messed up shoulder, I still was able to finish pretty dang good at a lot of events, and that was just enough to be like, okay, with a good shoulder, I'm a contender every week. So figured just might as well do it. Want the forehand back. Surgery went well late October, and surgeon went in and he saw the torn labrum. It was actually really small. What ended up being the issue was just some laxicity in the joint. So just from throwing, getting it subluxed was subluxed 4 times, just stretched it out. So there's just that underlying instability. So I mean, I did two sessions of like rehab exercises every day all year. So I was in the gym every single day just to stay on top of it, make sure I was able to finish the season. So I was, while that I'm proud of myself, I really want to just like put it behind me. And with the surgery, everything's gone very well since. He said the surgery went well. He tightened everything back up, and I'm excited with what I've done. The struggle I've had to go through, and even through some of the struggle and pain, I feel like I persevered and had some good moments during that time.
Well, I mean, to be fair, as you just said, a disappointing year perhaps last year. You've gone through all of this and still found ways to pick up a few victories here and there, to still finish in the top 10, to do everything that you've done. Clearly, an injured Eagle McMahon is still better than most that are at full health, which is
I was watching
impressive.
Simon's video and I let him most as you were putting him out there 350-ish or something left-handed. This is and watching you putt pretty decently. That's just stupid. I mean,
with you feeling,
you cut out. Can you repeat
that? I was just saying that a lefty Eagle McMahon is better than most people. Like, I was watching Simon's video and you were putting him out there 350 left-handed. Like, that's just stupid.
I try. I mean, I've unfortunately hurt my right arm a bunch in the past 5 years. I've had the broken hand. I've had shoulder implications. So there's been a lot of times of me throwing left-handed. So I hope I'd be pretty good at it by now.
Clearly, the entire world wants nothing but 100%, health and recovery from you in this surgery. What are those? And I know you said that the doctor said it went well. What do you feel like those odds are? Or did anyone ever say, hey, even if this goes perfect, we think you're going to be 90% of who you were 5 years ago, or whatever those numbers are? Were you ever given any of that kind of diagnosis? Or
he essentially said it varies based on the individual. Okay. From my perspective, the doctor says that you're going to be able to return to better than what you were based on of his experience and what he sees. But also, like, it probably won't ever be exactly the same. Like, I'm honestly, if I can't throw a 500-foot forehand again, that's fine with me. And you don't really even need a 500-foot forehand.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
No, you said that about 200. 200-foot forehand, Terry.
But yeah, like, I remember when ripping those forehands the one thing I want to put out there that always, I try not to put too much emotion into how I view comments on the internet, but this one always gets me charged up. Okay. Is everyone thinks I messed my shoulder up throwing forehand, and I didn't. It was a freak accident. I was doing just some crazy, stupid throw at this Joe Mesh shoot that my arm was limp, and I would just like dancing all over the place. It was terrible. It shouldn't have happened, but it wasn't from throwing a forehand. So that said, I don't necessarily, I want to get around a 400 to 450 foot forehand again, and I'm going to gradually strengthen up to that this year. Probably going to be somewhat similar to how I was playing it last year. I'm going to test the waters, throw soft forehands, maybe some scramble shots, really try to develop a lefty. Ideally, if I could develop a 400 to 450 foot left to right lefty shot that can work on more open style shots where the control isn't paramount, I think that's great. And then forehands maybe in the more technical side of it, because I honestly don't want to go through this again. And the more shots I can create, the better. But I'm confident because I have a very good work ethic. I don't mean to pat myself on the back or anything, but if I set something up for myself, I'm going to do it. So I'm pretty confident that with a lot of hard work and dedication every day that I can get back to a new version of myself that in many different ways is better than the previous version of myself.
Stop me if you've heard this one. Have you ever thought about a turnover? Like I joke because I think when we first saw you come out with a lefty shot, maybe it was even at the All-Star event a few years ago. You threw a couple lefty shots, but I think I even said it on this podcast. Eagles' biggest flaw, I think, in his game is just a slow turnover. Like those, what would be a big turnover for us, 250 feet. Just a little flip shot that you seem to struggle with at the time. Do you feel like this has or will help that, or would you rather focus on just throwing those lefty?
Well, I'd say I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just don't. The thing is, it's hard to rewire your brain to want to throw a turnover when you are so used to not having to, because with a 300-foot turnover is significantly harder than a 300-foot sidearm. Like, you can just chop it out there high and let it fall down. At least for me. So the idea to rewire my brain saying, okay, I need to throw a turnover for this now, which is there's a lot more variables. It's hard to fall in love with that idea when you're under pressure and in the moment. So I would say, yeah.
We'll say you're better at them now, because I think I saw that as the years progressed after watching that your turnovers are better, but you'd rather throw the, like you said, the chop shot, the more consistent shot, so to speak. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and towards the I strengthened my arm pretty good last year, and towards the end of the season, I was starting to be able to throw around close to 400-foot forehands again. If you watch Discmania Open, the playoff, the 6-hole playoff I have with Isaac, on all those approach shots on 18, I was throwing 350-foot forehand in, and that's what won me that tournament essentially. So it started to come back towards the end of the year, but it just takes patience and gradual strengthening to get it back.
So I'll say this is another chapter in your storied career of disc golf, and you're turning this page and starting to write this new chapter. What are some of the things that you're hoping to look forward to that will be part of your legacy, part of your story, goals or aspirations? Have any of those changed? But what are some of the things that you're really thinking once I'm healthy, ready to go, here is where I'm laser focused?
Right. So I would say this is obviously I'm always trying to be the best player I can be. And a lot of people like to assume that I want to win a world championship and USTGC, all the majors. And while that's completely true, I have a personal goal. I want a career Grand Slam, and I'm working towards that. That isn't the necessary driver for me. For me, it's more respectable if I can find a high level of play at every single event I go to. And I want to just feel genuinely proud of myself when I go out and compete. I want to feel proud that I played around a certain way. I acted a certain way. And that's been something that's always been tough for me because at my core, I'm a pretty fiery person, at least on the course. And I do my best to tame that. I've been doing my meditations, but I just want to really feel proud of myself as a person. I like to subscribe to the belief that a good person makes a good disc golfer, and that's something that I'm always consciously working on. So That's first and foremost. And something that's been coming to me a lot lately is I was watching old disc golf videos and just kind of reliving memories from when I started disc golf. I feel this isn't a bad thing. It's just because the growth of the sport, I feel like some of the grassroots parts of disc golf are starting to fade away. And the community aspect that I really miss, and just general like friendliness and happiness and sense of positivity. Like there's a lot more TMZ kind of drama involved with disc golf. And I think that's just par for the course as disc golf grows. But whatever I can do to kind of counteract that and just bring that childlike joy of disc golf back, I'm trying to figure out ways to do this, maybe through my content. I want to have stuff to give away when I'm out at tournaments. I just really want to focus on like making disc golf feel great for everybody. And because that's what hooked me on disc golf, and it's the reason why all of us love it. So moving forward, that's one of my big goals.
With all of that being said, and I think that's so commendable and exciting that you have those feelings and that nostalgia, and you're even recognizing that, yeah, we are losing a little bit of this, I'll say, intimacy and camaraderie among, the smaller groups because of the growth. With all of that being said, you and Simon are two of the most liked and popular and entertaining competitors we have in our entire sport. How have you thought about that balance of, man, I just had a great round or I just had a terrible round, but there's 500 fans here ready for an autograph, and that wasn't a problem even 5 years ago. But now, and problem is I'll put that in air quotes, but now it's a totally different ball game out there. And with all that engagement and everything you just mentioned, what are some of the things you've thought about in terms of collectively embracing, but not burning yourself out?
That's a very good question. And I'll be the first to say it. Like I'm not perfect. There's been times where I've had a very bad round and I have not been in the headspace to assign an autograph. And I've walked past little kids putting their disc out. And like, I look back at me at that moment and I wish I would have just persevered and put myself aside to sign it, because I would have been happier in the long run. But there's certain times where it almost feels impossible to put yourself aside for that moment. And while I'm saying this, I hope that I hold myself accountable, but there's probably going to be that time again for me. But if I can minimize those moments and I can like truly take perspective on what disc golf is and what it's done for me and it's done for everybody else, it's cliche, but it's really all about love, like love for the game, love for what you do. And if you can like notice that and be grateful for it, I think that's going to be like a superpower for those times. And, there's so many different pieces of the puzzle. Like I'm not going to be the guy who says that it's not about the money, because there is a level of the financial aspect of it. But now that like I am very well taken care of MVP, like I want to share that in some capacity. Like if I have the means to, take some extra time, sign some discs, then that's something that I'm going to be striving for moving forward. At the very least, like setting rules for myself. Like at the very least, you can spare 15 minutes after your round, no matter what. Like just make that a part of your round at the very least. If you have a great round, if you have time, stay longer. But at the very least, 15 minutes after the round, sign some discs and then be on your way.
This might be a tough question. You talk about fans and fandom. One of the best memories I think that people, or visions maybe that people have the last couple of years, is you at the European Open after the round. Whether you won or lost, you were surrounded by kids and people and throwing discs. And how much of that had to do with you being on Discmania versus them being a fan of Eagle? And do you hope that you can kind of bring that over? I saw a graph today from, I think it was Power Grip, that showed the popularity of manufacturers, which I'm assuming is in Europe, over the last I think 5 or 10 years. And you see how a lot of, now that we've got more manufacturers, they're starting to compress. Innova used to be dominant. Now it's much, I think Discmania was the dominant one. MVP was like third behind Innova or something over in Europe. I'm not exactly sure. But how much of that do you feel you're going to be able to retain with the fans over in Europe? Or are we going to see, our guest later tonight take that mantle from you, Mr. Gannon Buhr, as he steps into the Discmania camp?
It's hard to say. I would like to say that we're going to retain it, but at the same time, Discmania first and foremost is a European brand, and they got their foothold over there. Prodigy and Discmania are two of the biggest brands over there because they're able to meet the demand. A lot of they're not Prodigy, but Discmania, Latitude. They make discs over there, and it's cheaper to buy discs made in Europe. There's no export import fees, so that's a big reason. And obviously, Discmania does an incredible job marketing. They marketed me, they marketed Simon, they marketed their team very well. And at the European Open, at a lot of events over there, a lot of stores. You go to stores, you see banners of myself, Simon, or whomever that's on Discmania over there. So I owe a lot to them for helping me build that European brand. But moving forward, a lot of companies, including MVP, has their eyes set on the European market. They see the growth, and they're trying to figure out ways to make importing their discs more feasible and setting up some overseas headquarters.
Was there any part of you that factored in House of Discs, just generically? The fact that there is this, venture capitalist group that has consumed or has acquired a number of our companies, and some of the conversation immediately went to, well, if Eagle leaves, he would go outside of House of Disc or inside or whatever. I mean, those were all part of the speculations for a lot of different, reasons. Did any part of the House of Disc existence factor into you or any of your decision making?
I would say, I'd be lying to say no, but a lot of the reasons why people think I left Discmania aren't really true at all. Like I was saying, the primary driver was me wanting a change. Mm-hmm. But there's definitely a small portion of uncertainty what this big conglomerate of companies buying disc golf companies might entail. I hope it works out great. I hear that they're doing very well at the company. So, I hope if a rising tide lifts all boats. So my best to them. But this kind of alludes to the question or the answer I gave you guys about losing some of the grassroots aspects of disc golf. I like supporting small companies. I like mom and pop things. So the fact is like I more identify with things along those lines. And while MVP is growing very rapidly, seeing Brad and Chad, it's a family operation, which I just think is so cool. So I would say there's a portion of me that was weary, but it wasn't the driving factor per se.
So to follow that up, and kind of you just alluded to it or touched on it, if we could just for a moment dive into some of the most ridiculous or the silliest or the funniest that were still obviously wrong. What were some of the things that you and your camp, whether it's your dad or your grandpa, what were some of the things that you saw or read or watched that now we can truly laugh at or dispel or completely shoot down, whatever it is? Misconceptions, basically, is what I'd title this, of your moving. What were some of the things that were your favorite and not so favorite that got thrown out there?
Well, the thing is, I'm trying to find a balance in my life for pretty much everything, because there's so much value in reading comments and like interacting with the disc golf community. Mm-hmm. But if I want to ruin my day, I could just go read comments and find mean things about myself and feel terrible. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's hard finding a balance of that, because while all the amazing comments are so great, and I'm grateful people go out of their time to write them, for some reason the human brain just like phases those out, and you just want to hear the bad ones. And then when someone says something like, "Oh wow, your nose is crooked," or your beard doesn't look good, like those are just some mild ones. But then I don't even need to name the mean ones. Then like you just start thinking like bad stuff. So like it's not a positive thing, which when I first started playing disc golf, like none of that really existed. The community was so small, and like every once in a while you get that one guy, and you didn't really, I mean, it wasn't great, but you kind of just set him aside. But they've multiplied, and I shake it off pretty good, but it definitely feels like a little bit of a punch in the gut for a short period of time. And then I realized like that I hope that guy has some good things happen to him, because he needs it.
Yeah. So what was the dumbest? Just give me the dumbest or most outlandish like take that someone, threw out there, or that got, back to you. Was there any that were just like, oh my gosh, what are they even thinking that could possibly be a solution? Was there anything that was just crazy to you?
I feel like there were, but they're eluding me right now. I'm going to be like going to bed, and it's going to come back to me. I'll try to think of something. If something pops in my head for the remainder of this conversation, then I'll mention it.
So you were or are still sponsored by Grip Egg Company? That
was going to be a question. What are some of your other continued relationships like, and have some of those had to be trimmed back or adjusted?
Grip hasn't officially announced me yet, but I'm staying with Grip for at least another year.
Exclusive.
SmashBox exclusive.
Yes.
I had to cut ties with Whale Sacks. I owe a lot to them. Tina and Eric, they're amazing. Eric's
Did you send back all the halves of the whale discs?
Oh, ouch! He's like, hey, maybe you can sew these back together.
You can reuse these.
Ouch!
Come on, that's
mean guy on the internet. It was Johnny. Johnny was making all those comments.
It's Johnny.
Oh, come on, that's like one of the common ones. The eagle rips wwhale sacks. It's one of the funniest ones.
I mean, at least it is true. Factually, it's true.
I mean, Paul folds putters. I've seen it.
Yeah, that's.
Don't we all?
Other relationships, you've been wearing some shoes, Vivos, right, for a while now. Is there an official relationship there still, or was there, or is there?
There is official relationship. I'm more on the ambassador side, which they don't necessarily ambassador team. They don't have a team section, but I have an affiliate link that I get some kickback on, and I have a code, and I'll get an occasional free pair of shoes. Better than nothing. But I appreciate them just like willing to support disc golf in any way, because they're great shoes. I'd be wearing them even if I didn't have any affiliation with them. So just like I said, using the products that I truly believe in is something I want to focus on. Focusing on that integrity is something, as I get older, that's becoming very important to me, because a lot of what I do is promote. That's part of being a disc golfer. And if you can promote something in good conscience, something that you truly use and want to share with people, then it's just better for everybody.
So with that, just a recap so we know, and I know we kind of usually leave this for the end of the interview, but we'll see you still with Grip, still Vivo shoes. Is there any other, I guess apparel or stores or anything else any other sponsorships that you're still part of?
For the time being, still with Huck Lab. We're going to maintain our relationship. It's a pretty informal relationship, but Jay's my good friend, and I like to collaborate with him as much as possible. I'm continuing my relationship with Backstage Organics, which is very exciting. I haven't talked to Seth about it. I technically am a part of Disc Golf Strong. Seth's a great friend, and I can just bounce ideas off of him whenever. And I highly recommend anybody go be a part of the disc golf strong movement if you have any sort of pain or just looking to get stronger within disc golf. Then Seth has amazing resources, and he's helped me tremendously throughout the past much time I've known him.
Well, I want to quickly talk about the other big announcement on Simon's video, the other sponsorship announcement. Ritana on MVP as well, huh? Yeah. She got. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I don't want to say her contract, so to speak, but like, what is her relationship with MVP now, and what's her plans for the year?
Yeah, so she's extremely excited. She started falling in love with the discs. Like it was a prospect of me being on the team, and she just started throwing them, and she loved the glitch. She loved some of the more understable stuff, and it's amazing because MVP saw the potential in her. Like, I want to say that MVP's team is still it's on the smaller side right now. So they're looking for a lot of talent, and Ritana is making, she's making a lot of progress in her game. She's come a long way. She won her first A tier last year. She was one stroke out from making the cut at Portland Open, and she's coming a long way. And MVP saw the potential in her, and it's being on MVP is going to enable her to be able to play a lot more tournaments out on the road moving forward and continue her professional career. So I'm absolutely stoked to have her on the team. Traveling with her has made disc golf so much more fun, and I'm very grateful to her. And we're going to hopefully start creating some more MVP content and spreading the love.
And your dad, Pat, I saw in the video as well. Is he full MVP bag, or is he still holding on to some old things that he loves? Because he's not required to throw anything.
So the funny story, my dad, when I was on Discmania, he had a few Discmania discs. Like he definitely enjoyed like the MD3, some of the Cloud Breakers, Razor Claw. I got him to switch to the P2, but he always liked his old rocks, Firebirds. He's kind of like a old school Innova guy to a certain extent. Now, this is the most excited I've ever seen him about discs. He has pretty much a full gyro bag. I think the only thing that might stay in his bag is like a really old beat up DX rock, and then some old Blizzard bosses that he just really likes. But even those, like he's testing out Fission Octane, some of the Fission stuff from MVP that hopefully will knock out those bosses. And I don't know, that DX Rock will be a tough one for him to replace, but he's a gyronaut now. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'll say this, I know everyone's sponsored by different people. A really good worn-in rock is a hard thing to get rid of. I mean, it's everybody has said it. I bagged one for many, many years, a glow one, but it eventually left my bag. So Pat's got time. Don't worry.
And with that, I'll say your dad is probably one of the closest people to disc golf and their child's career. Of course, there's other dads that are very supportive and are involved, but your dad is probably one of the most active and actively involved and intimate with you and your the community and just all of disc golf. So that begs the question, what were some of the conversations like when sponsorship came about? What were some of the conversations and what kind of insight or push or nudge or back away? Like, what was his approach to, this life-changing decision for you?
One thing I want to throw out there, a question that my dad always says, it's more of a rhetorical question, is he always asks, am I the most famous disc golf dad?
He's like, up there.
I think you are.
Yeah.
He's definitely...
I don't know. Who else?
I mean, the Robinsons' father has been out there doing some work lately.
Creeping
of
a little
course,
bit up on that.
being on some bags, and then your kid winning a Worlds and being part of it. Doug Bjerkes, over with now Grady and Paige, of course. Rest in peace, Leroy Jenkins, one of the kindest, most amazing humans on the planet. And then
Paige's dad,
the family.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
Paige's dad, yeah.
But I think Pat's the most involved. Honestly.
Yeah. So
right. I think what helps is he's in a lot of my videos, so people really get to see
Yes.
the personality of him. And he doesn't seek it out, but he definitely thrives on it. He likes being on camera.
Awesome. Well, so with all of that, what again, life-changing decision, and the guy that's been there for every moment of your career, what were some of the things, maybe even just high level, that got discussed?
Yeah. No, yeah. As you know, it's like we've been through this whole disc golf journey together. We started playing at the exact same time. So he's been there every step of the way, and I couldn't have done without him. He's absolutely incredible. He's been a mentor in so many different ways, and just somebody that I can go and celebrate or cry to after a really good or bad moment. So talking to him about who I was going to represent was a huge decision. And I just remember, we're talking about a little bit today, like talking to other sponsors. I just remember the one moment. He's like, you have to go with MVP. It's the only one that truly makes sense. So we talked through pretty much almost every detail on all different offers that I had. And without him, it would have been a way tougher decision, because he understands the climate of disc golf. He understands a good amount about like the product side of it and where companies are going. So we both came to agreement, and he supports my decision to represent the MVP family. So, and he's a part of the MVP family now. So it's all great.
And speaking of representation, you mentioned earlier, kind of your team and contracts getting, what you were looking for, and your representation was helping you with that. Who makes up your team right now in that regard? Who's kind of representing you and your brand in that sense?
Oh, in terms of like an agent?
Yeah, agent or whatever, someone brokering any deals or being part of that.
So it's Feature Card Management. They work pretty closely with Paul Macbeth Foundation, and they also represent a small handful of other players.
Okay.
But Blake Iverson, Dustin Leatherman, Zach Smith, those are the main guys there, and they're a great group of guys. I've been working with them for a few years now, and just makes my life a lot easier when talking to certain companies, have any sort of new opportunities. Just streamlines the process.
Okay, great pun there. With that, I was thinking earlier today. I don't maybe haven't quite a perfect analogy yet, but I kind of feel like, and I've said this very publicly, when MVP came onto the scene, it was like, what is this gimmick? What are these weird looking frisbees? I sold thousands of frisbees every year, and I ordered some, and I'm like, what are these? And were these going to be a flash in the pan? I think fair enough that a lot of people kind of said that or guessed that. And clearly they've done nothing but grow and build and thrive throughout these last few years, making all these big moves and being so scientific and analytical in terms of even their naming structure and convention. I feel like maybe a couple of the guys that weren't the most popular just maybe got like the two best dates to the prom or something like that, and picking up like you and Simon. I mean, just two of the most popular, well-liked people now on the team, now within the family. What has it been like with the Gyronauts and the whole idea of this entire new fan base and family that was already here? Some of them been here for the long haul. Now here comes a front runner for homecoming king or prom king. Here you are. What's that been like?
It's been eye-opening, because I talked to Brad and Chad about it and what the origins of MVP are, and the whole history of it's really cool, because their dad's the person who got into injection molding. MVP doesn't necessarily stand for this now, but it stood for Maple Valley Plastics, which they did injection molding for GM, Ford, some of the car companies in the Rust Belt area, because it's a Michigan-based company. So from my understanding, their kids took or hit Don Richardson, Daddy MVP, was the inspiration for Brad and Chad to get into injection molding, and they were disc golfers. So like, okay, let's try making discs. And what I really appreciate about them is that they've really focused on manufacturing and getting the science down first. And like you, when I first saw MVP, I'm like, what is this? And I would say, I remember the first big signing they had. I think it was Sarah Hokum. And when she went to MVP, I'm like, wow, they're getting a big player. So that's kind of the moment when people started looking. And then obviously when James went to MVP, that was a big moment, because that was MVP making like a big move. And that kind of put him on the map, so to speak. And then obviously with the Holy Shot, talking to them about what it was like watching. They were saying they were running around their warehouse, and the minute that shot went in, they started production of blue and yellow Envies, because they knew, and they couldn't even keep it in stock. They said it was it was absolute madness. And I would say, to a certain degree, me being here is a ripple event of that, to a certain degree. Like they've rode the wave just how you should moving forward. And like Brad is the more business minded. They're both very business minded, but Brad's more the marketing director and guy who calls the shots on a lot. Chad's more of the disc design nerdy side of the company. But when you put their brains together, they've been very calculated. They've done everything they can to grow themselves and be a force to reckon with within the disc golf community. And I still think they got a lot to prove. They're still underdogs in many different cases. And while gyro to a lot of people probably seemed like a gimmick, it absolutely is not, because Chad gave me the rundown of the science. It's like, when it's done right, it actually works better than all the other discs, because the more weight you can have pushed out, the more torque resistant, wind resistant the disc is going to be, the more durable. So I'm sold on gyro, and I can't wait to fully explore my bag, fully explore all those molds, because I believe that it's going to make me a better disc golfer.
And I was going to say, we would be remiss if we didn't get to the release of your first disc. Tell us about your first disc.
Yeah.
It's some sort of Envy. I know that it's what exactly is it?
So it is a Envy in the Prism Proton plastic, and I always envied the Envy not being on MVP, because I'd always grab it. I'm like, this is the exact disc I need. I love the profile on it. It's shallow. It's a hybrid between a mid-range and a putter. And I just felt like it was always the disc I needed. And then, of course, when James hit that shot, my beliefs were essentially corroborated. I'm like, okay, so that's what you need to win a world championship. That makes sense. So I've always had my eyes on the Envy. And when we're talking about my first Signature Series disc, I have a Prism Proton Pyro that I saw, and essentially what Prism Proton means is Proton is kind of I'm just going to use Innova as a comparison. It's like the champion style look. It's a translucent color, and the prism aspect of it is the rim. So when you combine the rim with the inside plastic, that would be Prism Proton. So there's a Prism Plasma option as well, which is like more of a champion style rim mixed with a star type plastic. I just thought the Prism Proton looked super pretty, and it felt really good in my hand. So I just figured For my first disc, I'm going to be bagging the Envy no matter what. I already know it's going to be my go-to disc. So what better disc would be than this year Prism Proton Envy? And the stamp, shout out to Mike Inshow, the graphic designer. It's an eagle surrounded by flames. So I guess you could call it a phoenix, but I don't want to step on the Firebird's toes. But this stamp is called Rebirth because I feel like it's the perfect way to depict and illustrate my move to MVP with all that's going on, shoulder surgery, a new chapter. I'm rising from the ashes into flames.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And with that, I know you're going to be making a ton of content, as you said, for yourself, because you're going to be out there learning the plastic and then wanting to share your journey. And I'm sure the fans are going to absolutely love that. And you're going to be creating new fans. You're going to be bringing along your old fans that were following you when you were throwing Discmania. It's all going to be very exciting. I want to personally, as we start to let you go, I want to personally just say thank you. I'd like to share with the world that you reached out to me and had said, hey, I'm planning on releasing the news, or it's going to come out. Initially, it was going to come out yesterday. And you talked about then joining us on the show and giving us the opportunity to have a conversation with you. We know that you're going to get pulled in a million directions, and everybody's going to want to have you on the show. And I know you've obliged to a handful of them, but thank you so much for thinking of us and for coming on to share all of this with us and the rest of the Smashies out here. When I think back to you and Glass Blown Open,
Was that 2015 or 2016?
2015.
before the Pro Tour.
I remember thinking, who is this kid? He throws a mile.
We have you on live when Smashbox was the only one providing live disc golf, just a handful of us. Fast forward a couple years later, you turned 18 on a podcast. You were here talking to us. I think the night you turned 17 into 18, you were here with us. And we just have to say, we could echo thousands of fans out there. We just absolutely love and appreciate everything you've done for the game, and then also how you've portrayed yourself and acted for the fans and everyone else that's out here taking it all in. And we couldn't be happier for your successes, and we're looking forward to what's in these next few chapters for you.
Well, I really appreciate it, guys. You've been there for the whole thing. You've been outside looking in, and I really do appreciate you guys, so I wanted to give you one of the first opportunities. I'm going to keep my circuit pretty small just because I have a lot of stuff that I want to do myself, but I wanted to pay my respect to you guys because I really do appreciate what you guys do for the disc golf community. I remember watching disc golf guy videos like a good 5 to 10 years before I even met you, so it's like you go way back, so I truly am grateful for you guys.
Well, thank you so much.
I want to give you a moment to defend something, though, that you said the other night. I was watching one of your Instagram lives. You were going through a bunch of vinyl. And at the very end...
Oh, I know this.
At the very end, it killed me. It hurt me. You said Creed is a better band than Pearl Jam.
What?
And then
end the show. Cut him off.
No, that's what he did. Then he cut off his Instagram stream.
Oh, I cut him off now. I'm just hearing that part.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Okay, I take back everything I just said.
I was watching, and I was like, oh, those are some fun... I'm not a vinyl person, but I was like, some of those are some good albums.
My God.
I'm not a jam band guy, but some of the stuff you had was really good. I was like, oh, some of this stuff is awesome. And then you ended the show like that, and I was like, nope, I don't know. Jeez.
Man.
You want to defend that, or do you just want to just let that...
Or do we just cut you off?
I mean, I know you were young when those came out.
Do I think Creed is a better band than Pearl Jam? Objectively, no, I don't. Because I know, Pearl Jam, they were part of the grunge movement. Like, go back, like, Eddie Vedder's incredible. I love the Into the Wild soundtrack. One of my dad's favorite bands is Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam never really resonated with me. I listened to some of their albums, like Ten's a really good album. But it just never rung true for me. But I just remember as a kid, I I was gifted Creed Greatest Hits, and I was watching
The one song?
Because they both songs.
There's a ton of good Creed. I don't understand why Creed gets the hate they do. Like, I understand why Nickelback gets the hate they do because it's silly. But personally speaking, I'm probably losing a lot of fans here.
I was just
but
gonna
I'm
say,
okay with it.
you might have just wanted to plead the fifth here.
I just feel like music in general, people are on their high horse too much because people just jump in and like the cool thing is to hate Creed. The cool thing is to hate Justin Bieber. And like I listen to so much different kinds of music. I just listen to what sounds good. And if Creed sounds terrible to you, then so be it. I think some of the songs are pretty dang good, to be honest.
Okay.
And I will say, like, I would never rip on anyone for any of the music they listen to. You know, whatever they want to, whatever floats your boat is great, in my opinion. I think it definitely hits different depending on your ages.
For sure.
Like Terry and
Considering
I,
us.
Pearl Jam 10 came out when we were like 13.
Yeah.
And like that is the prime time of kids getting into music, and for us, we'd get our 5-disc or single disc changer out. So I get it if you're young and Creed, Arms Wide Open. I think I've told this story on the podcast before. I went on a Disney cruise with my kids and my wife and some friends. The lead singer of Creed was on there with his wife and kids. And
wow,
like manning the lifeboats, or what was he doing?
No, he was there. The funniest thing, I looked at him and I'm like, God, that guy looks familiar. Like, because he didn't have his long hair; it was shorter. And then I walked by him, and he's in pretty good shape.
Scott Stapp, right?
Scott Stapp.
Yeah. I know the.
He's got, and I knew his name too.
He's wearing a Staff shirt.
No, it's not Scott Stapp. He has a tattoo on his arm of a cross that says "Arms Wide Open," and I was like, "Yeah, that's definitely him. I know for a fact." And so I thought that was pretty funny. And I nudged my wife. I'm like, "That's the Creed guy," and she's like, "What?" I'm like, Arms Wide Open, and she's like, "Oh," and she didn't care after that. I thought it was fun though. So.
All of this goes off the rail. What a good time we were having.
Do yourself a favor, go listen to "My Own Prison" by Creed. Jam it. You're welcome.
Yes. All right, Eagle. One final time. Besides maybe that note, give us one final sign off. We'll let you go after that. Thank you for joining us. Any final words before we cut you loose?
Yeah. So I just want to thank Discmania. I want to stress how grateful I am to Discmania to getting me where I am today. I have nothing but love for their company, and I wish them the absolute best. Still talk with UC a bunch. A lot of the employees are still my great friends. So thank you, Discmania, for this whole establishing me in disc golf. I couldn't be more grateful. And now thank you, MVP. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Axiom Streamline. For the next 5 years and hopefully more, I can't wait to see what it brings, because everybody involved, everyone that I've talked with, I truly believe we're going to make some amazing things happen. To be on the same team as James, Simon, Sarah, my girlfriend, and I'm missing a lot of other people, but the Paul Crans, we have an amazing team now, and I think we have a lot to prove. And
Silva too, right? Silva Starman?
Yeah, Silva Starman.
Yeah, Silva. That's a really good pickup. And
absolutely.
Thank you, you guys, for being here through it all. Thank you to all the fans, and I'm just really excited for the future.
All right, everyone. Thank you again for the time, for the dedication to the sport, the love of the game. It obviously oozes from you, and every time you speak to us. And I think the fans all recognize that as well. And we're looking forward to the continued excitement. We wish you the best. We know you have some recovery and some hard work, and we know you're going to put in that time and effort. And like you said, hopefully, worst case scenario, the first major of the year is when we'll see you out there competing again, maybe a little earlier, but get 100% healthy, and looking forward to seeing you.
For sure.
So, all right, everyone, that's Eagle McMahon, Team MVP. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
guys.
See ya.
Later.
Wow. Just it even sounds funny to say Team MVP. Like, just it's going to take a while to see that. I mean, he looks good in the in the clothing.
In the attire, yes.
In the attire. I hope we get to see, just like he had with Discmania, I hope we could see a jersey of some sort.
Sure, we're going to see, yeah.
Go out and watch Simon's video. It's really funny. If you haven't seen it, I'll spoil a little bit. Simon kind of hides at the MVP factory or manufacturing facility and surprises Eagle and gives him a gift. And just go and watch that. Do yourself a favor. It's a lot of fun. Eagle is just a wonderful human being in general.
Yes. So great to have him. And again, so gracious that he had reached out to me. I know a lot of people last week were, obviously waiting and anticipating, and then there's a lot of speculation going on. And when I had known at the time, he had said Monday's going to be the announcement. I want to talk to the guys at Staggered Stance, and then I also want to come on with you guys on Tuesday. So it worked out really well, and then things actually got pushed back to today. Great to have him and get all the details, and clearly a pretty big moment. So, and with this, as we are getting ourselves all lined up and ready to go, incredible conversation with one Eagle McMahon, and Eagle, like we were talking about in our early days, Smashbox covered the first time he was ever live on an event. When he was live, it was right here on Smashbox when we had like 2 cameras covering all of the action at best, and like 4 total people working to pull off a live broadcast, 3 or 4.
Yeah, why does the Pro Tour need like 45 people?
Yeah, why do they need all that? We could
do
just
it
go back
4.
old school and make it happen. And one of the gentlemen that was part of our old school introduction into live disc golf came onto the scene, had an incredible showing at the MVP, and at the time, I believe that was called probably still the Vibram, because it's had 30 different names.
Maybe the Maple Hill?
Maple Hill, I don't know. It was the Vibram Open. Came onto the scene and had traveled from the Kentucky, Tennessee region, that general area, up into Maple Hill to compete. And it was exciting to also put his name on the map in addition to his incredible play. We just help shine a spotlight on it. And that is our next guest, Dutch Napier, Batman. How you doing, buddy?
What's happening? Doing good, man. How are you guys?
We are good.
We're great.
We are good. Welcome to the show. It's so good to have you. There's been
thanks for having me.
Thank you. There's been a lot of talk and chatter with a lot of different players, and you were part of that conversation as well this year. You, a few weeks ago, made an announcement. Kind of talk about your journey up until tonight and what's been going on with you.
I parted ways with Prodigy Disc after 9 total seasons. If it wasn't for you guys on the Smashbox doing the live coverage, I probably never would have got the shot. After I got on that Maple Hill coverage in 2014, I got a phone call from Dave Greenwell. Introduced me to the Prodigy family and made sure that I had some disc in my hand by the time I got home. So, with that, he spoke with everybody throughout the company and got me signed on. They had me a box of disc, late in that 2014 season, and then moved forward from there, all the way up until this year. So.
Yeah, you were one of the longest running Prodigy sponsored players, other than probably the original crew that they signed.
Yeah, just a couple of them.
Yeah, you had to be one of the first actual signings for Prodigy the next year, right?
Well, I think I might even sign the contract at the end of the 2014 season. So, I mean, it might have even been then whenever I signed with them to say that I would exclusively throw their disc, But I do think that Daniel Polk from up in Minnesota, I think he was right there along with me about the same time too. Yeah. So, but yeah, he might have been he might have been before me or maybe after me, but I was still repping them for that long.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey for you, as you mentioned. Danny as well, who used to live in Wisconsin, then moved over to Minnesota, and part of that crew. A lot of these names that we have talked about, a Paul Macbeth we saw very early on and took to touring very early on. Ricky Wysocki, 2010, won a Junior Worlds. By the next year, won his first major, immediately went to touring. And so many of these other players. I could name, 24 of our other touring players. Your path was different, though. So how were you different from those other guys? Because all of a sudden we just saw you at Maple Hill and you were on the map. But talk about getting there and why it's different for you.
Yeah, for me, I played advanced. I played amateur for a couple of years. I think in 2007 might have been my first amateur event. So I went to 2008 Amateur Worlds in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Ooh.
And like at that point, they kind of had me for one of the favorites to be in the tops, and I did not perform. You know, I wound up finishing like 80th place or 87th. I don't know. You'd have to go back and check, but it wasn't very good. It wasn't to the expectations, you know. And from there, I went to the next weekend after I got back home was a tournament at my home course, and you know, I had some 990 to low rated 1,000 players in the open division. I said, you know what, I'm just going to play open. And I wound up winning the tournament and won my first ever open tournament. And whenever I won that tournament, I decided never to look back. You know, I accepted cash right away and then started moving forward. I think 2010 was probably my first Pro World Championships in Lemon Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to USDGC with Eric Roadhouse and caddied for him. And that was kind of whenever I started learning more about the disc and the flight and how to make it move and different things like that. Because whenever I showed up to USDGC to try to qualify on Monday qualifying, that was our deal. If I qualified on Monday, then I didn't have to caddy for him. I could play in the tournament. But if I didn't make the Monday qualifying, I wound up caddying for the week. So. But needless to say, that's where I met like Feldberg and Climo and those guys, being around the right people. And then, you know, that's kind of whenever I started getting taught how to actually play the game of golf. And I went out on tour after that and played a lot of the NTs that I could. And I just took my bumps and my bruises, you know. I kept paying my dues. And I went to Maple Hill in 2014 and played the best round of my life, you know, and got on Smashbox. I think I was in the lead by a stroke over Kel LaVisca, and Dave Feldberg might have been one or two back, you know, and people seeing this guy amongst all the big names, and I think Dana Vici was the fourth on our card. But yeah, people seeing me in that aspect. And then, so I had an early tee time too. I don't know if you remember this, Terry, but whenever y'all were doing the live coverage of the first round, I'd already got done with my round. I went in, I took a shower. I was staying at the house there with Tom and Karen, and I was decked out in all my Batman gear. You know, I had my Batman hat, you know. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I came about and when I went on board.
Well, and I think one of the key components that you didn't even touch on there is, yeah, you took your lumps and you weren't necessarily a household name like some of those other people, but you were paying your what's the word? Paying your dues in one way, not literally, but also then paying for like life and kids and family. Like every person we just mentioned was not focused on growing or having or extending a family. And then you, very different approach, very different position in life that you started out with. I mean, is that a fair way to put it? I mean, you were a family man. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And it was always a challenge, you know, trying to balance time, you know, through family and everything. Whenever I first started out in the early, not a whole lot. They really stepped up to the plate whenever I was gone and made sure that the kids had what they needed and everything. And then whenever I ran back into my wife in 2010, we got married, or maybe it was 2011, and then got married in 2012. You know, she's been my biggest supporter. She's been the one that keeps pushing me, you know, and y'all seen her out there on coverage. Y'all seen her out there on the bag and keeping me level headed and everything out on the course. And, you know, it has been really hard to, you know, and without their support, without, you know, their push, you know, like I never would be what I am now. You know, but whenever whenever, and that's not even including my brothers, my brothers are 100% behind everything that I've done. It's just, having that family support coming from a big family, we knew what it was going to take for me to achieve my goals.
Yeah.
And everybody was on board.
And again, some of the people you're mentioning, you think of Cale, who now is starting his family or has just a few months ago. Dave, whose son is 3 or 4 years old. Again, all these years later, a lot of those guys are at that position in life, and you were fully immersed in it, already coming into the scene. It's just got to make it that much more difficult, like you said, adjusting your time and figuring out when you're coming and going. Now, when you looked at touring for that reason, and maybe even this conversation happened with Prodigy too, but when you started initially thinking about touring, what were some of those limitations? What were, did you ever want to go, or could you go for a month or 2 or 3 at a time? What were those conversations like?
Yeah, they were the tough ones. I tried to do a couple of weeks out and then bounce back home, because with my kids and the way they were growing, man, you miss so much, within just a couple of weeks, So I've never really stayed out on the road. I've stayed kind of regional. I went to, some tournaments and then bounced back home. But my wife always tells me to go. She always tries to push me to be where I could be to make the best of the career. So having her support, having my mom and dad support throughout all of it, without them, I wouldn't be able to play as much as I have. There were limitations. I wasn't able to go full time, touring, leaving February and come back in October after the U.S. That would have been ideal, but I've never really had the funds to put an RV together and just say, hey, you know what, I'm taking the whole family, we're going, But yeah, I've been the more, 12, 14 hours away from home, bounce back home at most, and then the Maple Hill tournament was the first time I'd ever went over that limit, and it paid off. It really did. So, and then it went more and more into, just going to the big events and making it to where I can go out and bounce back and forth. So,
well, it's been awesome seeing you. You're always provide one of the biggest smiles out on the course. Anytime someone sees you or just catches a glimpse of you from just about any distance, you're going to have a big smile and a warm hug. We've always appreciated that. When you think about what you've been doing these last couple of years, bouncing around, playing these tournaments, you've also then had a new threshold. I'll say it, you're getting a little older. You're not as old as me and Johnny, but a new threshold. What has that been like, juggling or thinking about MPO, MP40? What factors into those decisions of where you want to go compete?
Well, my first year in MP40, I just kind of wanted to play the majors and, see how I could put myself in position there. Until probably about 4 or 5 months into the season, Ray Hill had told me about, man, you're kind of up there in the points championship, and I was like, well, I didn't realize that, that was a thing that they rewarded for all of that. So, whenever he told me that, it kind of made me open my eyes to like, man, maybe I should push for this. This is something to be really cool. And on the other side, if you look up here in the background, that's the trophy, the 2021 points champion. So, or maybe it was 2022. Yeah, the 22. Okay. So, but yeah, I won the points championship. I chased it down, and then last season I got started off slow. My wife had back surgery in early in the year, so I didn't travel at all for the first few months of the year to stay at home and take care of the home front, and make sure that everything was in place. So, but I still wound up second in points last year as well, with a abbreviated season. But yeah, that for me now is the choice that it's more lucrative for me to play in the Masters, because I can play and finish, in 5th, 6th, or 7th in Open and not make as much money as what the winner of Masters got, and it kind of got to me a couple of times. I was like, man, that was probably the wrong business decision. Like I got a mouse to feed, so that's kind of how it it's like. So, but yeah, with being in the Masters, I'm not quite looking at it as the ATM, just going and checking cash and checks, but I also think that that's the best for me as far as that goes.
I would say so, because I'm looking at your MP40 record, and as far as I can tell, we'll say other than the I think a putting contest, which is an XC, you've cashed at every single sanctioned MP40 event you've ever played. You have not missed cash at an event.
Climo calls that the reindeer games.
Exactly. I was going to say, we don't even count the putting at Worlds.
I mean, and it's there, but yeah, you're correct. We don't count it. And last year, you cashed and won 5 MPO events, and you obviously cashed in all of the MPO events last year, but you also cashed in every MP40 event other than the skill shot at Masters Worlds last year. Another reindeer game. So I would say financially you're making some good decisions.
Yeah, like I said, it's been definitely better. It's been 2 of the best years of my career, moving into the Masters. I didn't pick up the game until I was 24 years old or something like that, 22, 24, and by the time I had ran into Eric Roadhouse and those guys that kind of took me underneath their wing, I didn't realize that, you could make money at the sport, until they showed me. And then, after they took me in and showed me the ropes, that's whenever I started really getting the competitive edge of playing, I've always been competitive too, and always wanted to be the best I could be in anything that I did. But yeah, I mean, I have other things that, I still do. I played, last year, I played 4 travel softball tournaments. I played in, my first ever major cornhole event. They have one of their major championships. And to explain that, like, I kind of got 5th place in rec is kind of how that worked out. So they do a round robin. They do round robin, and they seed you. They have their top tier, which is their professionals, and then they have their second tier advanced, and so on. So I was in tier 3 and got 5th place. So. That was pretty interesting. And then on top of that, I play APA pool.
Damn.
So, which is an amateur amateur pool association. And I played into the regional event there and lost in the final table.
Have you played pool against any of the other disc golfers that say they're very good? Simon and Paul Ulibar. Have you played against them, and how have you done?
He's whooped them.
I haven't got a chance to play with Yuli. I have played with Simon actually a few times whenever we were out on the road. That was one of our things that we just kind of met up to do. He likes to have one of those German beers from time to time and shoot some balls around. So I got to play with Simon. We're pretty close. Mm. Like we can, like, I think he wound up winning the majority of the games, but he could tell I had game, so.
Nice. Now, with all that being said, I got to ask if somehow disc golf didn't remain like your most fruitful, lucrative path forward, if somehow disc golf just wasn't an option anymore, what would be out of all those, or maybe a new one, what would be the thing you would then like most invest your time and energy and effort into? Like, what one would you be like, okay, now this one I'm going to take really serious to turn into possibly a career?
Right. I would have to say cornhole probably.
Okay.
The repetitiveness of it, the, movements are a lot like the putt. As y'all know, I like the putt. So, I think that, the cornhole could be a backup plan. I don't know. I think I'm already past the curve of the pool playing. I might not. I don't think I would ever be able to be, the professional pool. I don't know if the eyesight's getting worse as the older I get, or if it's what the case may be. But I do well though.
Why do I have this sneaking suspicion you're like a 200 average in bowling too? Is there any? I'm just making this up, but is there any chance that's true?
You're actually not making it up. Yeah, I started bowling. Me and my wife did on a couples league, and at first I used a house ball and bowled straight, and my average was like 105.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That's what I'm talking about.
And then I realized that you had to get a bowling ball and that you had to learn how to hit your spot. And by the time it was all said and done, I was probably 207 average, I think is what it was.
Damn.
So it was, but anything hand-eye coordination, I've always been real good at. I've always been able to pick it up, and I'm decent at darts. I'm decent at pool. I'm decent at cornhole. I'm decent. I can shoot a basketball well. I'm not the best shooter, but I played in my days. I used to play football, track and field, shot put and disc. I've done a lot of athletic. I've always been athletic in everything that I've done for the most part.
Wow. All right. Well, now I think about the dabbling, the MP40, the business decisions of, where you're going to make the most and what's going to feel the most fulfilling. Is there any, I'll call it, is there any MPO title that you're like, damn it, I still am going to go play MPO at this event because I want that championship title? Is there any that have eluded you?
The only one that I could really, I think, break down to make sense to go chase would be the USDGC. I felt like that course always it favored me because you have to place the disc, and I was really good at placing it in the fairways. So my best finish there, I think, was 19th or 21st or something. And I felt like that if there was one that I could get, that would probably been the one. With Worlds the way it is now, it would be hard for me to go one of those stretched out courses and kind of win a world championship through that. But any kind of a major title, really, even in the MP40, I'm chasing those MP40 majors. Hopefully one day I'll break through and get one of those. With Worlds being in Kansas this year, it's going to be a little tough because, you got your Kells and Philos and guys that are throwing the disc still real well, Feldberg, that are getting them out there, I'm not taking anything away from my game. I know I can throw the disc as well, but being that extra 70, 80 feet closer to the basket can make a big difference.
Yeah, most certainly. And then everyone likes to say, "Oh, when I get to Masters, I'm going to dominate." Because, all the good people that were good when they were 30 or 35, if they're about the same age, they're still good at 40 or 41. And was there any? Well, first of all, did you have any of that? Like, I'm the young guy, I'm the fresh young blood on the block coming into the scene. I'm going to be wiping up all these Masters. Did you have any of that thought at first?
I did, just because I knew that I felt like that, if I would have found the game younger, I would have been able to compete with, the Feldbergs, the Jenkins, the Climos, the Schultz, even the Pauls and the Rickies, whenever they came about, I still felt like if I would have got it at their age, I could have been there, I felt that I had it what it took. But I realized real quick that, the game is 90% half mental. And, you get in your head and you tell yourself, well, this is a cakewalk. It's not a cakewalk whenever you're standing on hole one and your name's getting called.
And you've been there. What I love, your PDGA number is what, 31473. So you've been there and watched so much of the growth of our game. Just the fact that when you got, the A tier and coming onto the scene, or the national tour at the time, coming onto the scene, live coverage was just starting. Post-production coverage hadn't even hit its stride yet. Seeing tournaments and thinking, oh my God, $1,250, what a huge payout. To today, you're like, oh man, if I get in the top 20, I'm making maybe $1,250. In 20th place. Like, you've been there and experienced all of those different things. What is most exciting to you moving forward? And regardless of division, What excites you the most?
I'm really excited that it seems like more and more money is getting into the Masters area. I mean, do I think we'll ever be in the $30,000 paychecks like the Open for the championships? I don't know. Maybe not in my time, but maybe whenever Paul, Ricky, and Isaac and Gannon and those kids get up there to my age, they might still be able to play for that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel that if I was in this career starting now, whenever the pay's like it is, I mean, I could have made a really, really decent living at throwing frisbee, to where, I mean, I'm doing okay. I'm getting by. I don't live in no big house, and I don't have $100,000 car sitting out front or nothing. My Toyota Camry's Gary run it over 300,000, and I've been in it for 7 years now. So, but I think that the money could, I mean, going forward in the Masters, I think that it could be good for us.
Yeah, there's always going to be a generation that's just missing it, right? By the time,
tough.
When Dutch is 55 and he's looking at those 40-year-olds and they're making, those winners are pulling in 10, 15 grand an event, you're gonna be like, oh man, well, when it gets to Grandmasters, that's my time. Trust me, we all know I'm sure Climo feels the same way, right?
Yeah, there has to be, especially as you've dabbled in so many other sports, or you're active in so many other sports, there has to still be maybe some gratification, some excitement in the fact that, like, you were here and have been here and continue to be here in the early days of disc golf's explosion. Like, you got to experience it. Now, you may not be getting that bag, so to speak, and getting the huge payouts.
Well, we don't know yet. He hasn't announced it.
I'm just saying you've got this experience, which doesn't pay all the bills, but you've got this experience. Well, that's got to say something, right? Like, you could say to your kid, back in my day, kids, we didn't make six figures at a tournament.
Right. Yeah. I really do believe that I've had a good career. I've got over. I mean, my accolades really show that that I've done well in what I've done, and I've been successful, and I'm proud of the accomplishments that I have done.
Yeah.
I've gotten many of wins underneath the Prodigy belt. I know that they it really, if it wasn't for them, a lot of the tournaments and stuff that I won that I wouldn't have even been at, maybe. I might have been at home having to work full time and not be able to work part time and still jump out and go play the tour. So thankful to them for everything that they did, for sure.
All right. Well, with that being said, also just to tack on to what you said, PDGA-wise, it shows you've played 405 events. You have 88 wins, which is just, some quick math tells me that's just shy of winning 25% of the tournaments you've entered. And that even includes, some amateur events and whatnot. And it's incredible to see those kinds of numbers. Obviously, like you said, creeping on that 100-win mark, which is a very small company of people that have gotten to that milestone. So it's incredible. And then in the 2023 season, even only when you're just dabbling, you were still 6th in the global Masters ranking. So incredible to see. And for the second week in a row, we have the pleasure of setting you up for what is a SmashBoxx exclusive, and you telling us for 2024, who is Dutch Napier, Batman's disc golf manufacturing sponsor.
That'd be the reason I have this guy on.
Going to Lone Star Disc.
I'm making you sweat it out all this time. I feel bad now.
He's sitting in front of a fireplace with a coat on.
He's like, God, I'm sweating here. All that because you were hiding. Yes, that is awesome. Congratulations. Tell us about it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited. I have a fella named Sam Coakley. He's been agenting for me, and he's been going out and getting sponsors for me. And he worked out a deal with Lone Star that was well above what Prodigy was willing to do for me. After 9 years, I kind of expected them to kind of step it back to the good side and continue, but their 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 uncontinued support would be thankful to be able to move forward, and now I get to learn new disc. I'm excited. It's been a long time since I've been excited about going out and throwing the disc and finding out what they do, because I've been throwing the same bag for so long. I might even still have disc in my bag that you filmed at Maple Hill, that 2000, like. But no, I'm just excited. There's a lot of good things going on. I have some other sponsors as well that are going to help out, and with Prodigy, it was a carry Prodigy bag, wear our clothing and everything. So with that, I get to branch out and do some other things as well. So I'm super excited about that.
Excellent. Well, we've seen obviously Lone Star just come into the scene in the last couple of years. We've seen a very aggressive approach in terms of their sponsorship. They picked up a bunch of superstars that we saw beginning of the 2023 season, and then we saw them make a few more shifts and adjustments. A few people left the team, and a few people got added to the team, and so I feel like that is, I'll say, business as usual. And I think I feel like from an outsider perspective, it feels like they're trying to find their own as to where they're going to align, who they're going to align with, and then they're continuing to develop all these new products. Were you surprised maybe about Prodigy and being with them for so long, because you weren't necessarily actively looking for new sponsorship? Were you surprised that Prodigy maybe didn't come to the table with what you expected after such a long tenure?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was going to be a lifer. You hear people say it all the time, but, I really do believe that I was going to be throwing Prodigy discs for the rest of my career. I don't know how much of a career I have left. I'm getting older and stuff starts to hurt, and you wake up each day and you rolled over the bed wrong and now you hurt. So I didn't know how much more time in my career I had, and I was kind of surprised that they wouldn't keep pushing forward with me and moving through the sponsorship. And but I'm also excited about opening new doors. I've got to meet a bunch of new people already. I did make a trip down to the factory last week. Took my son down with me, and he did a little bit of some video and stuff for me. So you'll see some new content coming out soon, I'm sure. And meeting the guys at the factory, man, all of them are great. Travis and Terry was awesome to meet. Sheldon and Nick working in the warehouse and taking care of Sinjin, doing all the media stuff and everything, and Brittany and Debbie, like they're great people down there. So
good. Now, what are some of the things? First of all, I love to hear you say how you're excited. That's a theme with a lot of players that get a new bag, and now you have this newfound excitement, and you have to learn the new disc. What are some of the things that you talked about opportunities? Can you share with us what's exclusive to Lone Star, where you have to, I'll say fall in line or perform, not perform, where your alignments are, other sponsorships, things like that. Like, where's your flexibility and what are some of the things you're looking to do?
Yeah, they're letting me go with any other kind of sponsor I want. And, look, I dropped you.
Tripod
I bumped the table. Yeah, hold on. Let me get you step back up.
Love it.
How's that work?
Okay, perfect. All right. Oh, okay.
Squatch bag.
I get to carry a Squatch bag for the first time. Man, have you ever put one of these on, Terry? They're great.
Okay.
They feel awesome on the back.
I got one right behind the skirt.
And then there's Crush Disc Golf. This is going to be my new disc store sponsor out of Evansville, Indiana.
Okay.
Cool. And then also too, I got it's always about growing the sport and getting more people involved. CLC Sportswear They're involved with cornhole. They're involved with softball. They do jerseys and everything, and they're looking to do my jerseys for me this year. So I also have that going on, and then of course Sam Coakley, who's doing my agent stuff, is also doing my tie dye and Sick Custom Dyes.
Damn.
Oh wow,
So,
that looks nice.
Yeah, he already sent me a few, and Terry, you know, I got one of these laying around everywhere.
I love it. Nice.
So, but and then I don't know if am I allowed to show this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We do whatever we want here. Nice.
They're
All
playing
right.
a game of whack fuck out here. That's right. So yeah, Sam Coakley, Sick Custom Dyes. You know, he's really took real kind to me, man, and he's really taking care of me. You know, he's really looked at my best interest. You know, he's not asked for a thing out of me. You know, he has been agenting for me for the kindness of his heart. You know,
Wow.
like just, you know, he's reached out to a bunch of different companies trying to get a hold of them to see if they would be willing to sponsor me or willing to, you know, make the move forward and go. So it's really awesome of him to take the time out of his day. You know, he works a full-time job. He dyes discs for the other half of the time, you know, so you know, I really appreciate all the time and efforts that he's put in for me. So, but yeah, Sid Custom Dyes, man, he's a great guy. If you ever need anything done up, like, he's got you.
Yeah, that's amazing because I don't think I've ever seen a Lone Star dyed disc. I've seen a lot of dyed discs, and you know, I've seen a lot of Lone Star discs, but I don't know if I've ever seen a Lone Star dyed disc, which is funny. I was just thinking that the combination has never hit me. So that's amazing. That's and they looked so good. They were very vibrant.
Yeah, and
Oh yeah, that plastic takes real well. You know, it's like I said, you know, the guys at the factory, we're seeing them, and we're super stoked too already. You know, oh, he's already got dyes in his bag. So, but yeah, Sam got them out to me right away as soon as he knew that I was going to Lone Star.
now with that, just to make a full clarification, obviously Lone Star came into the market with a ton of molds. Sometimes when a newer company comes in, they don't have a full requirement of exclusively throwing their molds. What are your obligations? Where is your your agreement with what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, I mean, like you know as well as I do, Terry, the loyalty, man. Like I'm loyal. If I give you my word, it's my word. But yeah, the loyalty of it, I feel like I'm throwing 100% Lone Star, no matter what. If they gave me the option to throw other stuff or not, you know.
Okay.
I've always been a loyal guy as far as that goes. You know, I mean, having that as I guess as a person, like, I don't know, I wouldn't say personality, but as
It's a great trait. It's a
accolade,
personality trait.
yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
And certainly a
But,
personal
yeah.
value and yeah, a very respectable one at that, and then some. So yeah, okay. So fully committed
And then,
in terms of exclusively throwing Lone Star. I got to ask: is there any just one or two or even three molds that have jumped out at you so far? As like, yeah, these are a couple of givens that are going right into the bag.
yeah, the Texas Ranger, it's kind of just your straight mid range. You know what you look for whenever you're trying to go into tight woods. You know, Kentucky golf.
Mm-hmm.
That and then the Brazos is a overstable fairway, and the penny putter feels great. So I've been using it to putt with. So the penny putter will be my go-to putter. And unless it starts to act different in the winds or anything like that, but they have a good backbone to it, I guess, as far as the Benny, which is just has a small bead on it, but it has like just a little bit more stability and should fight the wind a little bit better if it gets too bad.
Okay, and now
So, but yeah, and then the bayonet. The bayonet is the distance driver that I'll be throwing.
okay. with that, is there any other? So you're obviously your discs all exclusively Lone Star. You get mentioned a couple of the other sponsors. Is there any other sponsorship you're still open to? I mean, a hat sponsor, which I know you've once had, or a outerwear, umbrella, whatever. It was like, is there any other sponsorship? If somebody's watching and thinking, yeah, I'd like to get on board and support Dutch and partner up with them. Is there any other needs outside of a gas station gift card, because everybody wants those for the gas, but is there any other needs you're looking to have fulfilled?
I don't know if you know, but you see the Batman. My wife has been buying these things for me for years, bro, and I got probably 75 different Batman hats. I mean, I got one for. I mean, I could probably wear the same one for 3 months, or different ones for 3 months. So. But no, I mean, I'm open to anything, and Sam Coakley, like I said, he's been working out all my deals. I've reached out to other companies as well, the hand drying, some well sack, or maybe, I mean, a disc retriever, or that's the thing with having Lone Star. They don't make all these different things to where Prodigy did. So like with Prodigy, it was like, okay, well, you use a Prodigy retriever, or you use the chalk bags, or so with this, it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because I get to meet and be on so many more different levels. So but yeah, I mean, I'm open to anything as far as any more help. I got room on my jersey to put anybody down. I was talking to somebody about how NASCAR does it. NASCAR does your big sponsor on the hood, and then your littler sponsors goes on the fender well, and then there's littler sponsors that are underneath the car that you don't even see. So I mean, I got armpit room all over. Like, I mean. I'm just saying. I mean, we can work something out.
Yeah, plenty of real estate.
I don't think I want to know where your hood is.
In all of its glory, I do feel like this is appropriate to ask, and it was asked on the board. Can the world see your Smashbox? Your Smashbox tattoo?
No,
that's in an appropriate spot.
It is.
That I've seen it, but in the world,
it is an appropriate spot. Let me see if I can make it work. I don't know. I'm kind of pinched up over in this corner here, so you have to tell me if. Let's
there it
see.
is.
Up a little, just up a little.
There it is, right below the Mace Man tattoo.
On those ripped calves.
Oh, those are some nice calves.
Dang, you've been tossing some bags around. There it is, folks. Yes.
Yeah,
as far as we know, you're the only person. Like Johnny and I don't even have Smashbox.
I don't have any tattoos,
Either
but
if
I did, I might get a Smashbox one.
But you're the only person we know of on the planet that has one. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd get it. I would get it again. I got that thing not long after the Maple Hill thing, just because I felt that was a big milestone in my career, is being on live coverage. That was huge to me. And so I felt like it needed to be done.
Well,
I'm gonna smash you for life, Terry.
Dude, we appreciate that
it,
so much.
100%.
Yeah, you're more dedicated to the brand than we've been. So. Yeah.
That's the loyalty. Like I said, you see my loyalty all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's no, honestly, it's funny to think where we've all come from and how that was just 10 years ago, and what disc golf was like, and what sponsorships were like. And now here we are, in multiple phases later on so many different levels in so many different regards of our sport. And, us three aging gentlemen all still sitting around and enjoying disc golf the ways we are.
Love it.
Absolutely love it.
Right.
Dutch, I just took a real quick look, and maybe you can expand on it before we let you go. If people want to see you throwing that brand new Lone Star plastic, tell us a little bit about what we should expect in 2024. Where might we see you out there battling?
Yeah, I'm going to be out playing on the Masters tournaments. I'm going to play on the Disc Golf Master Tour, playing quite a few of those events. The ones that make the most sense for me, and my family for my financials. I'm going to be playing at both the majors, the Tim Selinsky's in the U.S. major or the U.S. Masters Worlds.
Okay. Yep.
And then I'll be playing in a bunch of the A tiers and all kinds of different regions. I'm going to be trying to chase them down. I start off in Florida for the Tallahassee Open in a couple weeks. So we're going to try to get these discs tuned in and make sure I can score and get going. And then I'm going to do quite a few local events, man. I feel like I've stepped away from my local scene quite a bit, and I kind of want to get back to the roots and kind of take over the area again and make sure that Lone Star understands that they didn't just buy Dutch Napier; they bought the region. I got a region that'll stay behind me, through and through. So, all the people that were behind me throwing with the star on, I'm just going to a new star. So hopefully they'll understand and they'll make the transition with me.
That's an awesome attitude.
Yeah, exactly. And we know that people love brands, but they are certainly endeared and pulled in by the person, the human, the loyalist, whatever the case might be. And of course, Lone Star getting an incredible representative in yourself. So I got to say, thank you. Like you said, the loyalty, the way I've seen you out there grinding and pushing and playing and going through these stages of your career has been inspiring to myself and to a lot of other people. And to have you think of us and have conversations with us and exclusively announcing new sponsorship here with us tonight certainly means a lot to us as well. Is there anything else you'd like to say to any of the world out there before we let you go here tonight?
Yeah, man, I just want to say thanks to my wife, Nikki. She's been, like I said, supportive of me for my career. My mom and dad, I love you. Thank you for everything. All my kids, Zachary, Brighton, Caitlin, Tiana, and DJ, thank you all. And then my brothers for pushing me to be the meanest and best I can. That's what they've done, so... I just try to keep pushing on and hopefully they're proud of me. That's my main goal. If those people are proud of me, Terry, I'll keep doing it until the day I die.
Well, they'd be silly and crazy to not be proud of you. It's been an incredible journey to watch so far. We thank you for your time. We want everyone to go out and support you. What's the best way that they can support you in terms of you and your new Lone Star partnership? Is that discs specifically online or getting them right from you? What are some of the best ways they can support you, buddy?
As of right now, I'm going to be doing a tie-dye release with my logo on them.
Okay.
They'll be all over my Facebook, I'm sure. And then I think we got it in the works where Lone Star is going to be selling some things for me on their website. So just keep an eye out on social medias and see what's popping and see what's coming out. I know Crush Disc Golf is going to have some stuff on their website too. I'm going to have some new jerseys coming out. So any of that you buy will help support and keep me out on tour. And that's just, that's what I got.
Wow. If that's what you got, that's what we're taking.
The Squatch bags, I'll have some discount codes on those as well. All that, like I said, just keep up with me on social media. We'll push it as much as I can and, make it as lucrative as I can, and we'll keep pushing forward and keep getting to the tournament. So, and if they want to reach out to any kind of a lesson or anything whenever I'm in their town, if they see that I'm coming to their town, please reach out. I love teaching. I love coaching. I've coached a lot of the pros. I've coached AMs. I've coached beginners. So, anybody that's looking to better their game, I'm coaching a guy in Hawaii right now that I've never had a chance to even do a hands-on-hand, lesson with that. He's already seen improvements in his game. So, just reach out.
Damn, this guy does it all. You probably got to go, like, I don't know, protect Gotham or something yet tonight here with all the work you're doing. Dutch, we wish you the best. Looking forward to seeing you out there more in 2024. Congratulations on Lone Star and all of your new partnerships and alignments. Everyone's getting a damn good representative in yourself. And thanks for joining us tonight. Have a good one, pal.
Yeah, you too, Terry. Thank you so much. Thanks, Johnny.
Of course. Right. Thanks, Dutch.
Take care. Good night.
A phenomenal human being in Dutch.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you can't say enough good things about that guy. And he's right. Like, just his enthusiasm, his support, and everything has always been. I can't wait to see the Dutch Napier jersey.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, it's going to be colorful and exciting because when you're teaming up with some of those, full dye sublimation companies that can just literally put everything on your jersey, and the fact that they, work within the bags community, and
maybe he could be one of our
softball.
First big cross athletes. Like Bo Jackson, we got a Dutch Napier. He does disc golf and bags.
I'm all about it. All right. Again, thank you yet again to Batman Dutch Napier for joining us. In just a moment, we're being held up by me for a moment. I am going to send over a special code to another representative, someone else who has managed to find himself in a new sponsorship spot. And, of course, we're talking about Gannon Buhr, another one of the highly anticipated and talked about movements since making a note a few months ago or a few weeks ago about leaving his sponsor in Prodigy. And now we found where he landed.
Yeah, we did. We also found out today, I don't know if to say the poor guy. Alden Harris today announced that he was going to Discmania as well. Just a little overshadowed.
Yeah, it's a hot time.
It's hard to balance the announcements, because Alden announced and Eagle announced very close to the same time, and clearly with Eagle being as big as he is, it kind of overshadowed Alden's announcement a little bit. But it's an important announcement because Alden is one of our brightest young faces on tour, and he's one of the people that's putting himself out there more than anybody. So just that signing alone today, I think, is going to have some really big ripples that maybe a lot of people might be overlooking at this point.
Yeah, it's easy to not necessarily understand the full impact of all the things that he can do on the course and off the course. And I think yet another really bright and incredible pickup over there by the guys at Discmania. And one of the guys that's going to be featured in some of that Alden content,
maybe,
and or maybe not. Maybe their friendship will end. I don't know. I'm sure they're going to keep us guessing. But none other than one Gannon Buhr joining us on the show. Gannon, congratulations. How you doing?
I'm so excited. It's so awesome to have, new discs, my friends on the team. It's kind of the dream situation.
You, like both of our previous two guests, have to be getting inundated and having these conversations. What's been the most repetitive? I'll ask it then as well. What's been like the most repetitive thing that you've been addressing or talking about that you want to put out there with this new sponsorship?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. There's so many things that are awesome. From the new disc I'm going to be playing with, like on the disc golf side of it, I'm going to have a lot of fairway driver selection now and some really good distance drivers as well. Where I'll have a bunch of slots opened up in my bag. I feel like I've never, at Prodigy, I feel like I had 2 usable fairway drivers, and now at Discmania, I'm having a very hard time deciding because there's like 10 molds or 10 different ones that I could bag and make them all work. But, I usually only carry like 18 to 20 discs. And so I can't bag them all. So that's kind of a little bit of a frustrating part, I guess. but I've already noticed the drivers going just a little bit further, holding lines a little bit better, and so that's nice to have. I think my forehand will definitely increase distance just purely based off the discs I have now, and so that'll be helpful on tour for sure. But in terms of just like other stuff, I mean, my agreement, we're going to be having some obviously Gannon Buhr discs coming soon, and so that's really exciting. It'll be my first ever disc that I help kind of co-design in a way, and that way I can kind of share with the people what I am looking for in a disc. And then obviously got my friends Alden and Gavin and Kyle on the team, and so it's going to be a pretty fun year, and I think it's going to be a very successful year. Hopefully that we can. I guess we're the young guns, and so we might not have as much of a presence on social media yet as the Simons, the Eagles, and of the world, but I think we can definitely work our way up there, and with our play as well. Obviously me and Kyle both have a U.S. championship. Alden is top 15 in the world, and Gavin's been improving every single year he's been on tour, and so he's only been going up, and I think it's just going to be a very, very fun-filled year. I'm staying in Airbnbs with Alden, Gavin, and Isaac, and so to have majority Discmania in the house it'll be fun to kind of talk discs again. Probably steal each other's discs and stuff, but it'll be a very fun year.
So the disc that you're talking about making with Discmania, are we talking putter, mid-range, fairway, distance? Like what are you looking for? What would you love to be your first type of disc?
We're actually kind of still deciding on what I guess I'm gonna be making, or like kind of like what I want the idea of the disc to be. But the goal is obviously I'm known for my putting, so the goal is to have a putter eventually. And so we're gonna hopefully be working on that real soon and get that released as soon as we can. Kind of maybe I'm between like overstable approach disc or like good straight to overstable mid range. Those are my two I'm kind of debating about. Obviously, I said Discmania has so many fairway drivers. There'd be no need to make another one of those. And the distance drivers are really good. Unless I think of something else, those are probably my main 2 or 3 discs.
When you think about a perfect putter or the components of a perfect putter, like what is in that recipe? What are those ingredients that you're going to put together to come out with a putter that you absolutely love? What are some of the components and parts of that?
So obviously have it be a putting putter is going to be the main thing. And so for me, I need to have a bead on the bottom of the disc and also have, it's going to be made in different flexes. So if people want to get a soft version of it, they probably can, but I will I can't even speak, specifically be putting with a stiffer one. I like my putters as stiff as I can get them because when it gets hot outside, I don't want it like bending in my hand at all. Mm-hmm. I think, and I like how hard putters beat up too. They once they beat up for a couple weeks, they get this like really tacky, kind of chalky feeling, which I like. And so, and Discmania's been so awesome to work with because of like all the technology they have. They can make custom runs. They can make an entire run. They can modify it to be like, we'll make this run of this more overstable, and so they can do that stuff. They have these new technologies coming out in the future, and there's just a lot of cool stuff on the way. But back to the putter, definitely a beaded putter. I want it to be a good throwing putter too, and so that kind of has to do with the stability. It needs to be low glide and overstable. That way, for my putt, I can be in circle one, and I kind of just treat it as a beanbag toss. Basically, that's what I tell myself is because just go up and down, take the glide out of play, and you won't miss as much usually. And it's good for circle two because you can run at full speed and not go too far past. But yeah, and even like have it be a good forehand approach putter. And so the way like the inside of the rim will be shaped can also affect that. So we'll get it dialed in, I'm sure.
Okay. Now, part of clearly it was it's a very busy weekend that led into today as well. What do you make of I don't want to call it chaos, but what do you make of the excitement when we see where Eagle McMahon announces officially and where he goes, Eagle leaving Discmania, and then with a whole rush of excitement, you pulling into Discmania? what do you just kind of make of like the state of our game in the sense that like two of our top players on the planet, you and Eagle, swapping sponsors where you're going to where he once was and he's going somewhere entirely different. What do you make of all that?
It's interesting. I mean, like we all kind of like run the course, I guess. I mean, there's kind of like that people call it like whatever year rule, like the 10-year rule, like you can't get to 10 years with the same company because whatever, you know. And so, you know, obviously me and Eagle have been at our old sponsors for a long time. I think I was 7 and he was like 9 years. And so, you know, I mean, one of the best ways in your career to like make a big I guess splash in your popularity and just get people talking about you and a new brand change is just switching companies, because there's so many more outlets that you can have, and it's kind of a new hype. And you know, that's definitely important for me. I was thinking like I for sure, you know, definitely needed to make a change in a company because that hype's going to build up there. And and landing at Discmania was pretty much my top option. And so it's, like I said, it's kind of the dream situation.
I've got two big questions. First of all, let's talk about the trolling. You fed into all of the conversations, it felt like. A lot of people were speculating and guessing and claiming they knew, and they were reading all the alleged clues and everything else, and then you'd come out and you'd show an Innova disc in front of an MVP basket or whatever it was, like,
or go into a collector's page,
and ask about questions. Like, you fed into it. How? What was part of your thought process there? Were you just excited to troll everybody?
Yeah, well, because I mean, not many.
Or did
people
you want to
do
throw
it.
them off?
Yeah, well, yeah, I did. I mean, it's for some reason in disc golf, or maybe it's this way everywhere else, but you know, the rumors are usually true when it comes to like players switching companies, and so obviously I had the rumor of me going to Discmania, and so if I could like I guess throw off people just a little bit, I definitely didn't throw off that many people, but I think it was kind of funny to do. You know, I kind of figured like I'm not going to be able to do this for at least another 3 years, so I might as well do it right now, especially because I'm still like some people consider a kid, so like I can get away with it. But you know, they were fun to do because I got like hundreds of comments and sometimes thousands of interactions on the posts. And then like my Instagram story where I had like with the Innova disc and then the MVP basket, I called my dog over into the window because that was the story was like, oh, my dog's watching me play disc golf, and I was like, hey, come over here, and then she went in the window, and then I propped up the disc and like kind of made it seem like I accidentally showed it, you know. I don't know, and or like hey, maybe that would have got people thinking I was going to like an open bag company. You never know. So it's like
all of those things
I did
were
see
said.
that, yeah,
exactly. So
obviously
definitely were able to play into it.
Yeah, and then like my leaving post, I like used 5 different taglines from companies, which was kind of funny.
Which drove it. I feel like the silliest part about that was the people that only heard one tagline and then they're like, "Oh, that's it." It's like,
they're
no,
like, he's going there.
He
like,
said 5 of them. It clearly he was trying to, again, like just some next level trolling. That was great. Now maybe you could set a record straight. Could you confirm that last year when there was a discussion about you potentially leaving and there were some announcements even made and then things were kind of pulled back and then a lawsuit was pending and such, Discmania was in fact the front runner last year. Is that true?
I'm not going to answer at this time.
Okay. Fair enough.
I don't know if I should talk about it because with the whole legal situation and stuff.
I mean, you're just a kid. Nobody can sue. No. Okay, fair enough. Then
is there some sort of minor rule or something?
No. So then I'll pivot over to kind of a similar but different question, which is being out of contract as of the end of 2023, and then having conversations. Is it fair to say multiple companies were lobbing offers at you? Can you elaborate on conversations or companies that you talked to or things that led you to choose Discmania over someone else? Like, what, you're on the market, you're one of the the brightest superstars we have to assume everyone was coming after you.
Yeah. I'm not gonna name any companies specifically, but uh, it actually all started at USDGC. I talked to a company
Mhm.
before the tournament, and I got an offer that was pretty solid right then and there. And
Ooh,
so it made the leveraging really easy because it wasn't. And I don't use any. I didn't use an agent for any of this.
okay.
It was just myself and me asking my mom what she thought, stuff like that. Um, and she helped with more like the lawyer and attorney stuff on
Mhm.
that side when they would eventually look over the contract. But I did pretty much all of the negotiation. I'm
Nice.
not scared to, I guess, say what I want, that what I want to have in an agreement. That way I can sign it and we can both be happy mutually. But yeah, I got that offer pretty early in the off season, and then had a couple more companies reach out to me and connect to me, and got a couple more offers, and then it eventually got down to two companies that were kind of fighting over me. One of them being a really small company, actually. And
Mm.
so there were some very interesting, I guess, I don't know, it's like ideas that
Mhm.
were in the contract offer, I guess, with the smaller company. And so it made the decision really tough. But then, overall, this man came back. They definitely listened like what I had to say and what I wanted in a contract, and it showed me that they, I guess, respect me, and they wanted to really make it work. And so I appreciated that, and it's just a green flag whenever I could text Austin Montgomery right now, and he could respond in about 5 seconds if I wanted to. So getting responses on questions I had was like so quick. I mean,
Mm.
usually it was less than 5 minutes I get an answer back, and that was really, 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 really awesome because it made the process super quick. And Austin Montgomery's an awesome guy. He made the negotiation process really easy because he's like a friend to me,
Mhm.
and the way we were able to talk back and forth, it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel even like too professional in a way, and so it was almost more productive because we felt more comfortable with each other. And so, yeah, I mean, everyone at the Discmania who works there is just so awesome. And like I said, Gavin and Alden on the team, and Kyle, it's gonna be so amazing.
Excellent. What's all in your contract? What does it consist of?
I can't like say too much. I mean, it's obviously a 3-year deal.
Just hold it up to the camera then. If you can't say anything, we'll read it.
Yeah.
Okay, share with us because that's what everybody wants, right? Everybody wants the deets. Like, give us the
Yeah.
down and dirty. Share with us everything you can or are comfortable sharing. Then,
I'll just say like what I look for in a contract is a good base salary and a good bonus structure.
okay,
Those are my main two things. Also, I was able to get the Squatch bag deal, so that was another
okay,
component that kind of added some more revenue for me as well.
hmm
And not just that, but it also expands my brand through a different company. So
hmm
that was really cool, and I'll have a signature bag out this year, hopefully, pretty soon with Squatch. But yeah, my deal is 3 years, and I will have a couple Gannon Buhr discs that will be coming out, and obviously a tour series every year. Just like Kyle Klein's Midnight Prowl 1, 2, and then
Sure.
you guys know all of them.
Yeah.
So I'll,
Yeah.
I'll have that same situation basically. I think that's pretty much all I can say. I mean, it's pretty typical contract. There's not too much more. I just can't disclose any of the,
Okay.
real specific numbers or anything.
Well,
I was just gonna say, just do us a favor, especially since you can't talk about it. Just blink if it's worth more than $1 million a year.
we'll wait here till.
I mean, you're gonna blink at some point.
Well,
okay.
I mean, it sounds like the common thread. We just had Dutch Napier on right before you, and he had talked about with him leaving Prodigy, opening up the opportunities for other sponsors, because it sounded like with Prodigy you were relatively locked into a lot of the different Prodigy products. So you now have a bag sponsor with Squatch. What else are you looking for? Like, or are you in talks with anybody else about other sort of sponsors, whether it's anything from a chalk bag or shoes or
apparel.
clothing? Yeah.
A lot of it's actually still getting worked out right now. I'm just kind of trying to figure out what I can and can't do. I guess I wasn't super prepared on that side, but I mean, we talked through it all. Everything's. I just need to like remember what happened. So
Sure.
I do have a chalk bag sponsor. It is Chump Chalk Bags. I know at least last year, Gavin uses them, Aaron Gossage uses them, Paul Ulibarri uses them, and Gavin Rathbun kind of got me hooked on them a couple years ago. And you know, the girl who makes them she sends a ton to me, and then I can give them away to people and kind of spread the chalk bag love. A lot of people started to use my tactic of checking the wind with a couple puffs. You didn't really see that before me, and so it's kind of cool to see that happen, and kind of grow that brand as well, because obviously chalk's a big part for my mental health, I guess.
And your routine and mental health. Yeah.
It's funny, I don't use chalk ever in practice rounds. I don't even touch chalk. And then in tournaments, I'm like, well, if my grip's a little sticky and I grip it, well, that's stupid. I should use chalk. So I don't know.
It's like your safety blanket. It's like a safety blanket. Like,
your
little comforter.
And I'm trying to find a way to get my. I want to like play good, but also prove people wrong, I guess, in a way, to where like I come out in the first event of the year, I'm just the fastest player on tour.
Oh, I'm so ready for it. I'm ready.
Yeah,
ready.
Terry's
now.
ready.
Yeah. I mean, you know how Terry feels about slow play in general. He's one of our most.
Terry does not like slow players.
No, he's one of our more vocal.
He hates them personally.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
yes, I hate you. I'll say it for the 100th time. If you take 29.9999 seconds on every throw, I'm not mad at you. I'm genuinely not.
If you that's 30.0001, then he might murder you.
Yeah, exactly.
You may never find the bottom.
Whatever the rule is, that's where I'm a fan of the timing. And currently, it's still 30 seconds, and so that's why I'm a big fan of just as long as it's within the allowed time. And we could have another debate. It's not worth it, but. That's just so everyone knows. I think a lot of people think I do have like personal feelings. I don't. It's anyone. And there's a lot of other people too that are also slow. You might lead the charge or lag behind. I don't know how you want to look at it, but there's a lot of people that exceed 30 seconds. You're not the only one.
And you're not even the worst case scenario these days.
Uh-oh.
My question is, how do you feel? Because I definitely feel like, there was one of the rounds of the Pro Tour Finals I played really fast, and I was on coverage. I think it was the third round, is the first round of the finals, or the finals of the 2 rounds. And I played really fast. Majority of my shots were within 10 seconds. And then I think I had one shot in the woods I took like 40 on, and then you gave me a bunch of crap for it.
Way to go, jerk.
I feel like if that was
hole 11, hole 11. When I said
if that's Paul McBeth, if that's Ricky Wysocki, you're not saying a thing.
That's not.
No.
Well, let me just. I'll put this out here, and it's a fair question. It really is. First of all, just so everyone knows, sometimes if we're not with a card in its entirety, we get cut into shots. So anyone, Paul or you or Ricky or whomever, sometimes when it gets shown on screen and it's in a replay, they may have trimmed off 20 seconds, or they may have come right to it. Like, I don't always know for sure how long it's been if we're not watching you in real time as it is. So I just want to put that out there first and foremost. I'll give anyone a hard time. However, when you're habitual with it, when you are regularly at or exceeding the time, there's already kind of a little X on your back. And I think Nico obviously fell into that category at the European Open a couple years ago. Cupcake, who's also very infamous for it. Like, unfortunately, like, if your reputation is that you're slow,
even if the rest of that round was fast, the minute you're not, you forget.
But you're right. Like, I will give anyone now, if anyone is slow and they're slow one time in 54 holes, I'm probably not ragging on them. Even if it's you, I'm not ragging on anyone for that. It's if you're habitually slow and I capture it or see it. Yeah,
I use that as an example because I remember I had like a routine where I was like, okay, 2 pumps, putt, keypad, throw immediately, shot, throw immediately, because I I wasn't playing that great. I like barely made the next round of the Pro Tour Finals. I was like, I'm just gonna play really fast to see what Terry says. And then
Terry let you down.
I make sure you text me next time that I'm giving you credit where credit is due.
I'm gonna have the live stream on while I'm playing.
Yes.
Yeah, just listen.
You're multi-talented.
I mean, there's like a 12-second delay, so you'll putt and then listen and be like, "What did you just say about me?"
Yeah, there you go.
You know.
Exactly. Well, clearly, as you've got good spirits about it, clearly that's something you're well aware of, and I know you're always trying to improve. What I think is funny is sometimes when someone will say, I think Cupcake has said to me a few weeks ago, "Yeah, I'm really improved," and then I filmed them the next day. I'm like, no, I don't. You really haven't. Like, we could have baked cupcakes in the time you finally threw that putt. So
could have ate 10 cupcakes.
That'll be the new line, is like, how many cupcakes per round were there? So, and I'm getting to the point where I'm trimming everybody in a lot of post-production anyway. Like, whether he took 62 seconds or 12 seconds, like, I'll just make every single putt, that 10-second mark or whatever it is. And I'll do that for everybody because nobody really wants to watch that no matter who you are. So at any rate, enough of that silliness. 2024, you're young, you're hungry for seemingly every event. We see you at events and like defending a title or attempting to defend your title at the Memorial. I saw you signed up for Las Vegas Challenge. Like, those are a couple of events, if we're just putting it out there, that we're not going to see Paul or Ricky or an Eagle or a Simon at, right? Mm-hmm. Is that just young and youthful and ready to play as much as you can? Like, how do you factor when you do stuff on top of the full-time regular tour stuff?
I think it's like me and my friend group, like, we still just have fun playing disc golf. And so if there's disc golf that weekend and we've already played those kind of courses, like, we might as well play. And it's like on the way. Memorial obviously is not on the way, but the goal is to obviously go from Florida, drive up. Our friend Silas Schultz lives in Baton Rouge, and you literally have to drive through Baton Rouge to get to Waco. And so we're just gonna park our cars in Baton Rouge, take a nice 2.5-hour flight to Arizona, stay at Ricky's house, get a rental car with me, Alden, Isaac, and Gavin, and maybe Silas, and we'll get a rental car, stay at Ricky's house for free, basically, and then just take the rental car back, fly back out, and then we'll drive from Baton Rouge back to Waco. So it's basically like adding like a 5-hour car ride round trip, basically.
So with all that being said, I just realized you have to stay friends with Gavin. Like, he's the only one that could rent a car out of your whole group. Like, you need him.
He's still, we're still kind of toast because he's not 25. So
he's not even 25? I thought he was the oldest, and I thought he was at least 25. He's not?
No, he just turned 24. And then here's something surprising. I still don't believe it, but Alden's somehow older than Isaac.
Okay.
Because I think Alden's like 12 years old half the time, and then Isaac's the most mature person ever. So it's like
they don't line up.
I don't know.
Is that what you're saying?
I had to just put that out there because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you need a 25-year-old to rent a car. What's your plan?
It's to get a cheap rental car.
Okay, so you might have to
pay the insurance or
the
something.
Put down a $300 deposit.
Yeah, insurance is a lot worse apparently if you're not 25. So
yeah, okay, yeah, okay. All right. Well, either way, I'm excited that you're going to be out there. That's an event I plan.
If there's someone in Arizona that would like to chauffeur that's 25 years or older, reach out to Gannon and the crew.
Are you filming, Terry?
That is the plan. I'm trying to work on a few details and get some sponsorship to make sure that me and the whole crew it pays off.
You're 25, right, Terry? Yeah. You can rent a car for these boys.
Yeah, Terry, you just drive us around.
What was your new contract? Maybe you could pay me enough. I don't know.
I mean, you could stay at Ricky's too. Yep. You're there in anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just saying.
I'm renting the van and driving all these guys around. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so what else? Those two jumped out at me as I was looking at some registrations. Is there anything else that
we're between
you guys are?
Vegas and Masters Cup is the same weekend as Vegas.
Okay.
Well, we didn't think it was. I don't even know how that happened. I don't know how we missed that either. But we're deciding between Masters Cup and Vegas. Obviously,
Okay.
Masters Cup would be super fun to play for sure. Just because it's such a legendary course. I've won there before. Alden almost won last year. You're by the beach. It's just kind of a good time. Where Las Vegas is like, I don't know, kind of bleh. It's just the desert.
Well, and you're also, Vegas is a little different for a 17 or 18-year-old than it is
12. It's just we don't fit in there good. Who knows? So we'll figure it out. Well, okay. I mean, it depends on what courses we're playing. I'm not sure what courses we're going to play for Vegas. I'm not even sure how many rounds it is.
I think it's going to be 2 courses, and I think it's going to be 4 rounds. They're going to keep with the 4-round schedule. That's Mother's Day weekend. And I know there's.
I wish tournaments would post the payouts before, like, early on, or at least like a general idea, because that would make a big difference. Because like Memorial last year had an insane payout, and that's like a big reason we're going, because there's another 8 tier that I don't think is going to pay as well.
Okay,
and so. One, it's Memorial's tons of fun. Ricky's there. It'll be just a good weekend, and the payout's really good. So,
yeah. I wonder, like I like the idea, but I'm wondering if that would obviously help some events, but then as well as hurt other events that maybe they don't necessarily want to. That's an interesting.
True. That's true.
But no, I mean,
you're right. And the fact that there's there could be some what happens when you post a projected payout. And then, dare I say, last minute, the local realtor comes in and says, "Oh, I've got another $5,000 to add to the payout."
I don't think anyone cares if you're upping it.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is, if you put it out there, and then maybe that keeps people away or doesn't entice people, and then all of a sudden it ends up being way more.
That's not so much what I would care about. I would be the one, then I would rather see like the Vegas say, "Hey, potential or probable winners payout is $18,000 or whatever that number is," and then work from there, or potential prize purse of $112,000. So
I will say, not that I'm a paid advocate of theirs by any means, but I know Vegas has been very, very adamant in saying, like, we want the event to be as good or better than it's been any other year. Like, we're not cutting any corners. Even though we're not a national tour or a pro tour stop or whatever, we're trying to make this as big. And it's their 25th anniversary, so I know that is
that's true.
Part of what's going into the excitement. So anyway,
I was going to say, we're talking about events. Your new sponsor, Discmania, always a big supporter or sponsor of the European Open. You plan on heading over to the European Open this year?
Yep, my first big adventure.
The first time you've been over, because a bunch of your cohorts flew over there for Madrid, I believe it was, and even maybe for European Open as well. Some of them
did, they did. I can't. First of all, I can't believe Isaac and Alden went to Spain. Like, I don't know why. I think it was like the worst.
Yeah,
Alden hadn't missed cash the entire year, and then I don't even know how it's allowed, but they only paid out like 28% of the field.
Mm-hmm. Like, that's kind of high, actually, for an international event. 28%. That's even semi-generous.
Wait, does it vary in like Europe?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, call up Big Germ. I think he whined himself into a payout in Thailand. I said that out loud. No, a few years ago, Big Germ, they ran an event, one of the events in Thailand. And I don't know if they had 12 or 15 or 20 people. I don't know. But I think they literally were only going to pay out the top 3 spots. Germ, I believe, finished in 4th. And obviously, I think there was probably even a cash streak and probably some ego, understandably, on the line of thinking you're not making cash at an international event. And I believe there was a slight adjustment to the payout. But international disc golf standards are completely different. Like, I'll use myself as a silly example. I played in Estonia right after Worlds. I finished 7th out of 30 some Masters. I didn't get paid. I very much should have been in the cash line by U.S. standards. That's just the way it's always been. Payouts are the structure is different. Usually the amount that they pay in can be different. But you're making money over there, unless it's some really, really big event, isn't necessarily what you're doing when you're playing there in a lot of European events. It's structured very differently. So
That's
Alden,
very
as you were
interesting.
saying, though, learned this the hard way.
Yep. Him and Calvin were the only players the entire year to not miss cash, and then Alden just misses cash.
Mm.
So we're gonna play Krokol, which is the weekend before European
Mhm.
Open, then European Open, and then the Estonia tournament. That's the next weekend. So we'll be over there for 3 events.
Do you feel more comfortable that all the other guys have been over there and that they can show you the way, or are you nervous?
Yeah.
Or are you nervous that they're going to screw with you and be like, no, Gannon,
yeah.
like
Go down that alley.
that symbol is definitely the men's room, like that.
Or it's like, yeah, say this to somebody, and then it's just like a cuss word, and they beat me up.
Suddenly you're part of a gang. Who knew? You know?
Who knew? It happens, you know.
Speaking of your friendship, and I know we touched on Alden just as we were bringing you onto the show as well, but what were some of those conversations like for you and Alden, and I don't know, maybe the business sense or the friendship sense of, hey, let's both be on this, sponsored by the same company. You kind of talk about some of the things you thought about or discussed.
I pretty much told every company that I was talking to that if you get me, you're going to get Alden too.
Okay.
We're basically a package deal. Yeah, I mean, well, we're gonna tour together next year, so everyone's gonna have their own car except for I'm gonna ride with Alden. So we'll definitely have some fun memories there. But yeah, I even forgot the question. What was the question?
What was like the idea between you and Alden? Were you guys thinking like, hey, yeah, let's make sure that we're for sure with the same company? Or, I mean, what if he just got a way better offer from some other company and it wasn't Discmania? Like, would that have been awkward?
I mean, I'll say like it was definitely like I was a little nervous there for a second that Discmania wasn't going to get Alden. But obviously it ended up working out, and so everyone's happy. And I think it's I mean it's going to pay off for all parties. I mean Alden brings a lot of value to a company. Even so like I mean he gets like I think he's like top 5 for views on YouTube per video. I think he averaged 50,000 views per video, which is like that's better than some of the post-production crews that are
most of
like
them.
Yeah.
except for Jomez is the only one that gets more, I think. And so, and we just do dumb videos. So it's like, but yeah, so I mean, that's going to be so fun. And then we're also all going to be doing clinics throughout the season on the off weeks and stuff. Okay. And even on some of the on weeks, with the boys. So we're going to be vending, it's gonna be a good media year for us. We have a lot of ideas. Like one idea I have is, you sit down so just during a practice round, you sit down, you pick a hole, and as players come through, you have a little, you've seen a guy maybe like the change my mind guy, and you have like a little prompt, and it's like a debate in disc golf. It could be like, this is a good hole. If it's like a controversial hole, and then you have someone sit down, a player sit down with you, and then you can get kind of the player's thoughts on stuff like that. And so I think, with the clinics that Alden's YouTube, my YouTube is going to be I improved a lot. I got a new phone and a better camera on the phone. And, I'll be with Silas a good amount, and he's a really good editor. Obviously Alden is too. And so I want to increase my YouTube. So, I mean, I think we're just going to have a good media year, which is the goal.
Yeah, no, I clearly I think to echo that, we know that you could be a great golfer, and then you always want to be increasing that social media presence. So even if you're not a great golfer, you want to have a good social media presence, and even when you are a good golfer, having it is just icing on top of the cake. And that's pretty exciting to see because, like you said, Alden and Silas, two of our more creative, younger content creators, and then obviously you're going to be in on part of that as well in developing your own channel. So I like it. What side note? Do you have your license? Are you going to get it? What's going on?
I don't got it.
So Alden's just he's full-time driver.
Yeah, that's part of the strategies. I don't get a license because I don't want to drive.
Wow.
I mean, you could sugarcoat it or maybe disguise this strategy a little, or I guess you could share it with everyone. Yeah, you're just
well,
go get
I
a
want to get my
license.
license, but it's kind of just been like we've just been busy, haven't been thinking about it. Like I mean, it was just like we weren't thinking about it too much. I went to Florida for like 3 weeks. I just came back. And then we got back here, and now we just hit negative 41 with we have like 2 or 3 feet of snow consistent everywhere. Some spots are like 4 feet deep, and then I have an 8-foot pile outside of my house in my driveway. Like it's just like there's like not good driving. I mean, the streets are just ice. Every single street is like this thick of ice.
Yep.
And so yeah, and then I mean, well, like last time we checked, like all the like when I was supposed to be like doing like driver's ed, I was like all the appointments were full, and so I like couldn't even do that. And so all I have to do to get my license is just take a driver's test.
Okay.
I'm not sure what exactly like a actual like I'm driving the car. It's not just like a written test or anything. Because I passed the written test, so we're good there.
Okay, so you've passed the written test, and then you've got all your hours of practice driving in, or no? Have you?
I don't think you have to do that.
I think after you're 18, you don't have to do that.
Oh, after you're 18.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because most people don't wait till they're 18.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
okay, and I say all this because my daughter's 15, and she currently is driving at pretty much every opportunity except for the last week when we had the same snowstorm you're talking about here in Wisconsin. And so we've backed off, and we're easing into that. But, yeah, she's got to get 40 daytime hours and then I think 10 nighttime hours of driving in.
Yeah, but like I said, I think once you turn 18, all that goes out the window, and you can literally just take the test and get that.
Okay.
So.
All right. Who's going to be like your closest thing to your instructor? Will that be Alden? That is technically kind of like a trainer / instructor. I mean, you're spending the most time with him on the road.
And be honest, will you drive at all over the side?
No.
Not you won't get. No, you won't get behind the wheel. Be like, we're just gonna run to the gas station quick, and I'll drive. No.
I'm not sure if I think you have to be like, I think it's 25 again or something like that. That if I don't, I can drive. I just have to be with someone over 25.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
If you don't, okay.
Yeah, and then it's going to be different in every state you're in because.
Well, then I'll probably just get arrested and won't play disc golf ever again.
All right. Well, that was a good run.
Yeah, we
sorry,
tried
Discmania.
for a couple of years.
I mean, think of the vlogs you could do from jail, though.
Yeah, like guys, I just stuck my iPhone in here. I'm posting this from my jail cell. I'll be on 2 years.
I mean, let's. Besides that, like, if you were in jail, wouldn't it be great if we could like get you as like a guest commentator for like live broadcast that as well? Like,
there'd be no internet. There's just a bunch of brick stone walls. I don't
think that works.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of options for you. All right, let's go silly just for a second and say if
let's go silly, like we were somewhere not silly.
Yeah, no, we were being normal.
I was talking about him doing commentary from jail. That's normal. If disc golf fell off the face of the earth tomorrow and you had to get another job, what would be your dream job?
Wow, so silly. I don't know. It'd be another sports job. I think basketball is like my favorite. You know, whenever you hit that game-winning shot and you're in an arena, stuff like that. Like, I mean, I think I could have gone somewhere in basketball if I like fully committed to it. And I think I might have if I didn't have disc golf.
Okay.
I've always been a pretty decent like shooter in basketball, and obviously I'm tall. But I think I would if I took basketball serious. I would have trained like. Put a lot of weight on and like got that done because I think like I feel like even now I like know what to do, but I just don't know how to do certain moves playing basketball. We played a bunch of basketball in Florida, and I need to work on a couple things. I was hitting some good threes, but that's pretty much it.
Okay. speaking of off-season activities and such, again, I talked about the trolling earlier and just all the chaos and the fun and the excitement for a lot of fans. What do you make of the off-season? Like, was there any genuine surprises, or you're sitting there thinking, man, that I'll be interested to see how blank turns out? Has there been anything that's kind of been shocking or surprising to you?
I don't really think so. I think like going into the season, you always look at the people that did really good the year before or did really bad the year before that should have done good. And like it's just interesting to see like where they're gonna, start out the season. Like will Calvin start out the season as hot as he finished or his entire last season? Like it'd be like, like what if Calvin got 30th his first term of the year? Like that'd be super weird. Or Isaac. Isaac's definitely missing the cash the first term of the year. There's no chance he doesn't.
Hot take.
He always does it. He always misses cash the first 4 events, and then he'll go win 4 majors.
Well, but and to be fair, if we're going to timestamp this correctly, Isaac just won like 48 hours ago at like a local B or C tier.
Yeah,
B-tier?
Savannah Open.
He beat Ezra.
A tier.
He beat Ezra, and Ezra's really good.
Okay.
My hot take. It's not that hot of a take, but I think Ezra's going to win a Pro Tour this year.
Okay, I don't think that's that crazy.
No, based on what we saw at the Pro Tour finale, the way he was putting, if he can
no, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, like, and obviously we saw that guy hitting putts from everywhere inside of 60 feet and maybe even outside. Like it was crazy. If he can just bottle that up again, there's no reason why he wouldn't win a Pro Tour event.
And he's like the best. It's actually insane how like. In my mind, Ezra and Isaac are both 2 top 5 backhand players in the world. I put Calvin up there with them, and then, gosh, I don't even know who else. Like, those are my 3. When I think of backhand players that are just so far above everyone else, like, I put those 3. I mean, people don't understand how, like, Ezra is deadly accurate. You put Ezra, like, 200 feet away, and he's always getting up and down. He has this, like, little spinny, like, I don't know how he does it. He's just like the strongest guy ever, apparently. It just looks like he's like jump putting and it goes like 200 feet. But he's like the best ever at it. And then obviously you have Isaac, which is like weirdest form ever, but mechanically is just set up for success because of its like no movement in the pull through. It's just like the straightest, cleanest pull through ever. It's like I'm hoping to get there, but I think my 7-foot wingspan is cursing me.
It does. Trust me. I'm just my wingspan is like 6'8", and it was never fun. Like
I legit just feel like I don't have control. Like I feel like my arms are so far from my body.
Mm-hmm. Like I used to literally. People used to joke, or I would joke that my putting was so bad because I would putt over the top of the baskets, and I just burn past them because and I'm like, it's not fun. Well, it was fun, but like Terry here, who's putting up at every basket, and me, who I'm like, I used to throw them over the basket, and I'm just like, cool. What am I going to do? Get on my knees for every putt? And then eventually, I know. And then eventually, you learn how to putt. So
I just like aim at the band and go. If you watch my putt from the side, it flies it's on its nose down, and then it'll like come up. It'll hit its peak, like the wind's just beating it down, and like it'll hit its peak, and it'll just like sink like a rocket. It'll just go like here, sink. And so maybe that's why, because I'm so tall, I'm like can't putt over, so just super nose down, just dive into the basket.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you'd really like to improve? I know you're throwing new plastic and such, but is there anything in particular that's like, yes, I need to get this perfected before the start of the season?
There's like 3 things. I want consistent backhand. Like I want my backhand to feel good. That was my issue last year. My backhand only felt good like maybe 5 tournaments. The other tournaments just like it felt like it wasn't even me, and I'd shank everywhere. And I did put on like 25 pounds last off season, so that could have been something. But definitely like fix my backhand so it's consistent every weekend. Backhand touch is very important, and I've had like a couple like aha moments, but then it kind of like leaves the next day. It's really weird. And then I want to have a very usable all around forehand. Now I have a very if you just like saw me play when I threw forehands, you'd be like, oh, Gannon's a pretty good forehand player. But I don't have that like big germ, flippy disc flat, get it to glide left instead of just like flip too much or lose the angle control. You have like Sullivan, Tipton, Micah Groff, like they're all just like they throw these like straight fairway drivers and can just like they're confident hitting gaps late flip with a mid range on a forehand, and like I don't have that. I'm more of just like I think my forehand's like one of the best in the world for scrambling because I have Anheuser overstable discs, and so I just lean out really far with my long limbs. I mean, my forehand's pretty simple. I just set my disc on the angle I want, and then I just chop it whatever angle I have, and so it's really easy to scramble. I think I've been top 3 scrambling 2 years in a row now, so that's helped for sure. But I want to overall get my forehand to where it's very usable on if I need a straight fairway driver shot.
Well, I think you're describing that it's more of an aggressive power forehand and not so much a finesse, touchy forehand.
And I don't even throw that far forehand. Like I don't. Sure. As long as I have a big forehand, but it's just like, I mean, that could be because I throw super overstable for consistency reasons. But the reason I throw overstable is because I'm not like too confident. Like if I was confident, I could flip stuff up and play with the glide. But I think I actually had talked with Thomas Gilbert about this on his YouTube channel about keeping your OB rate really low. And me and Chris Clemens went on for his YouTube channel, and I just talk about like I will sacrifice 50 to 75 feet of distance to stay in bounds. And so that's me with my forehand. Like I can so easily get a forehand to a lot of baskets, but in tournaments, I'm like, you got to throw really overstable. That way, it's always going to go one direction. So if I can get to a point where I'm confident with a little bit of a flip up to get that glide, I think that could increase my forehand.
Okay. Well, there's when do you feel like most of that work? Because like you just said, Midwest completely blanketed, not only in just like feet of snow, but literally 40 below with wind chill these last couple of days or moving into the next day or two. We've just had this nasty cold spell coming through. Where and when will more of the actual field work, so to speak, get worked out and get started for you?
Just like a week before All-Stars maybe.
Okay.
My dad lives in Florida about an hour and a half south of the All-Stars. And so I'll probably go down there, test out some discs. I mean, I think it's gonna be kind of funny. I think I'll have more discs in my bag than I want to have, but I think I'll still use only 10 of them. I think I'll probably just grab I'll probably have a neutral driver, and I'll probably throw on every single shot, even though I need something overstable, just because I'm confident with one disc. That's usually what happens, and then the other discs are kind of utility discs. But if I can get my bag figured out, which I feel like I already have a good. I've kind of been going back and forth. I mean, even just feeling a disc, I can kind of see how it's going to fly, and if it has the right stiffness I want or the right shape of the dome and stuff like that. And so it made it easy to kind of be like, hey, these discs I'm for sure won't use, and then I'll get a pile of the stuff I will use, and then I'll be maybe I usually set up my discs in 5 stacks, super overstable, straight, understable, super understable. And the stacks will have 10 discs, and I'll just pick out a couple of my favorites from each stack, and then those will fill the slots. And so that's kind of how I've been building my bag so far.
So your bag, let's talk about the discs just real quick. Do you plan on throwing or is there a requirement, all new Discmania discs? Are you going to go back to some of the older molded Discmania discs? I think I saw a list of discs somewhere, maybe on Instagram, or you were going to do. I think maybe you did a video even, and it was in the comment, or it was in the video comments. What is your bag going to look like as far as new versus old Discmania?
Yeah, I'm allowed to throw whatever I want, any Discmania disc. Obviously, I want to lean toward the new stuff. I want to promote it. I want to prove that it's good. Kyle last year won Waco with 100% Discmania made stuff, and so it's clearly good enough to win. But then I also have that side of me that I like to throw rare runs for some reason. It's just kind of fun. I mean, so I'll definitely have a mix of both to start out for sure. I'm probably 50-50 right now. Right now I've been liking the Discmania made putters and mid ranges a lot. and then and even about half of the fairways, and then drivers are I throw some of the old ones.
Okay. Yeah. I asked Eagle the same question. What was the dumbest, craziest, silliest, out of whack, whatever comment or question, or comment probably, or assumption or guess that you saw within this whole, negotiation and whatnot? What were some of the things that stuck out to you, where you maybe just shook your head or rolled your eyes at?
I mean, just so many dumb things. It's like, one was like, it doesn't even, it's stupid because it doesn't make any sense. It's just like, Gannon's going to Latitude and his mom's going to Lone Star. It's like, why is my mom in this? It's like, it makes no sense.
Talking about my mom.
Yeah, I mean, there was a bunch. There was a one comment on the announcement post of like, hey, I'm on Team Discmania. Some guy commented, would be crazy if it's true. Like, it was like like, what? I'm like so confused.
Well, if you troll long enough, sometimes they may not believe you, and that might have been one of those cases.
Don't even know. I wish I like remembered all the crazy stuff that was like, because I mean, me and Alden all the time will screenshot it, text it to each other, send it to group chat, and we'll be like, "There's no way someone just said this. Like, they can't be that dumb or something." I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe they just didn't read it, but that's kind of how we look at that.
Yeah, I would just assume, and of course, sometimes I'm in the know, sometimes I'm not. But when I read some of the other stuff that people put together, and they don't preface it with like tinfoil hat theory, and then they go on and say, this is crazy, but they just put it out there, and just the sheer, I'll say, cockiness of or certainty of some of these people that are like, here's what's happening, and I look at it, I'm like, what planet
it's
are
fun
you
to
on?
see.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun to see the people that are like super right about it too. Like, maybe it's just their like assumption, but like obviously being a player, I know a lot more than the common folk. But like, there was like one comment where I was like, oh my gosh, he literally used 5 different like people or examples, and he got every single thing right, and people were calling him crazy, but they were right.
Okay.
So it's like, it's kind of fun to see like the people that actually do get it right. It's kind of interesting. Very few.
It's a pro disc golfer's burner account.
Yeah.
It's just someone.
Yeah. So never mind.
How much on
That's Macbeth's burner account.
One of my final questions would be is like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you in the know? And I know you know more than the average just fan, but let's just say there were 50 moves this offseason. That's probably too many, but let's just say there were 50. If there were 50, how many would you say you know about? What would be the percentage of the number that you feel like you pretty much knew about it before it happened?
45.
Okay, you're like in the know.
Yeah.
And
I'm in the know. There's like very few I don't know.
Okay.
I usually find out pretty early on. I'm not really sure how, but you definitely find out early on.
Yeah, players talk. It gets around. I mean,
I agree with that. And
players talk, and then you say, "Hey, don't tell anyone," and then that dumb person tells someone, and then it keeps going and going and going, and you punch all your friends in the face.
Yeah, I truly feel most of the leaks are probably, you could probably track back to the player.
Yeah, I would agree. Because, I mean, people tell me not to say stuff, and then I'll say it. I just can't help myself. It's like...
All right, so you're part of the problem.
Yeah, I'm the problem. People don't tell me. I feel like I personally did a really good job. It's more about me leaking other people's information.
I was good with mine. Everybody else, though, loose lips.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Just a big old megaphone for everybody.
Yeah. All right, so I think I saw, we'll let you get going here in a second. I think I saw on social media you just finished up the Avengers Tower. Is that right? What is your what's your next big Lego build?
Keep in mind all the time you don't have to get your license. But go on. Tell us about your Lego build.
You can stay inside for Legos. You're not Legoing outdoors.
I think I need the Eiffel Tower. It's like 10,000 pieces. Oh gosh, I don't even know what. There's a lot left that I could probably get, but I think Eiffel Tower was one of. I like the realistic builds. So like Titanic was cool.
Hmm.
The Lego Tower is cool, or the Avengers Tower is cool because it's like, it's it's in the movies or whatever, and it's kind of cool because stuff like that too, or like Star Wars, like the Millennium Falcon, like if you're more in depth in the movies and stuff, it like has all these little tiny like One Piece references, and like you build the rooms that like the scenes are in the movie and stuff like that, and so it's really cool. And then obviously like, the Titanic was just like massive. It was like almost 10,000 pieces, and you built all the little rooms.
Well, that's what
out.
it ended up in.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Too soon?
I mean, I don't think one of my big Legos is going to survive. Alden's going to do something to one of them.
Oh,
What you're not bringing them on the road with you?
No, I'm gonna go to a Lego store, accidentally buy like way too much money in Legos one weekend on tour, build them, and then he's gonna smash it for a video. I guarantee.
Have you ever? I mean, there's got to be. Obviously, you're building Lego sets. I would assume, and in fact, I think I know there are websites you can go to that have like custom Lego builds. Have you ever thought about doing that? Like,
I never thought about that.
Yeah, like if you run out of like the Avengers Tower, I'm sure you could go online and look up. Hey, I want the White House, even though I think there is already a White House one. And then they give you all the pieces that you need. You could probably order them online and put them together. Like, I know there's custom builds online because my son for a while was really into it, and we were kind of exploring that for a little bit. So
I will say my bank account is in big trouble because they're building a Lego store right next to my house.
I think they knew something.
Yeah.
Maybe
I might just have some equity stake in the company after like next year.
there you go.
Yeah,
I like it.
Maybe let mom run the purse strings.
Okay.
Probably the smart move. All right, Gannon. And I know I posted a video. It's funny to think of some of the first times I saw you interacted with you. A few years ago at Junior Worlds, and it's been incredible to watch this journey you've been on. Obviously. Watching you take down the major at USDGC, a moment you'll never forget. But even me as a fan and as a media personality, being able to take this all in has been incredible. And we certainly love watching this, and to know that you're just 18 and have so much more growth and opportunity in the game has been incredible. And we wish you nothing but the best. Before we let you go, any final words or parting shots you'd like to share with the world out there?
Reinvent your game.
What a sellout. Everyone, that's Gannon Buhr. We love it. He's repping the brand, repping the shield. Repping the shield. Wants you to reinvent your game. We're so excited. You and your good buddy, Alden, as we've talked about quite a bit here tonight. Everyone that is freshly sponsored, Gannon Buhr.
We'll be looking forward to the new Gannon disc when it comes out.
We'll be checking on it. I'm sure he'll be posting everywhere from
I'm gonna say you guys will not want to miss it. It's gonna be special.
Love it. All right, everyone. Gannon Buhr from Discmania signing out. Thanks for joining us tonight, pal. We'll see you soon.
Good luck in Iowa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Gannon. Do you think he caucused?
He was probably there.
Yeah,
he was probably there. He's old enough now.
He is.
I'm sure he was over taking it all in,
taking all the politics in.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. All right. Holy cow, what a night. Someone asked, is this the most guests we've ever had?
No.
The answer to that is certainly no, but overall average rating, yes. When you compile those three ratings and then take an average, Dutch is a little over 1,000, and then you're talking about Eagle along with Gannon. Yeah, we not too shabby tonight for sure.
Not too shabby at all.
All right, I say we close out what I consider that a full regular show.
Oh, got it. And then some.
Let's close that out in an official capacity. Then we'll come back and maybe our after show will feel a little bit more like parts of our normal show. We'll talk about a little of the other news and break that down in the after show and then talk about whatever, and we'll go from there. But I think for a regular show, think that's enough. I'm going to already separate probably all 3 of those interviews and put them out separately as well for anyone that wants to take them in later on our channel, or if you missed one or whatever. All right. What a night. Holy cow. Thank you to all 3 of our incredible guests. So awesome to see the growth and the development of the game, to see these new contracts and these opportunities that all of these players are having. Extra special that Dutch, old school Smashy as well, to join us and to make his announcement exclusive to hear to all of us here on Smashbox, and to get the insights and so much more additional helpful information out of both Gannon and Eagle was incredible. So we can't thank you guys enough, and I think the fans all feel that way as well. Even Brian Schweberger, who's out on the board polishing off his latest trophy. So for Gannon, along with Dutch, along with Eagle McMahon, congratulations to all 3 of you gentlemen. We wish you the best of luck. Looking forward to more of you in 2024. For Johnny V, I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. That has been our regular show in Smashbox podcast episode 49. We'll have some fun in the after show. We'll see you there. You step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 49's After Show. Nailed it.
Yeah.
All right, we're here in the after show. This one's, of course, we had a very long regular show that just wrapped up. We had 3 incredible guests.
And now we've got 3 more. No.
and now Parker Welk is going to join in. He's out on the board. He wants to give us the exclusive as to where Parker Welk is going. Do you know, Johnny?
I do not. I have not heard where
Parker. I mean, if you wanted to come on and headline the after show with an exclusive release, I'm just saying the invite is there. And if you don't, let's talk this weekend. And let's talk this weekend. Let's get one out there. Welcome in, everyone. Holy cow, what are we on? January 16th still.
Yeah.
Still before the midnight hour. And obviously, all the conversation this last week focused around so many of the signings, re-signings, new signings, whatever the case may be. And then a couple of people, as described on our board a moment ago, Lisa Fakis, one of our competitors who had announced earlier that she's no longer with Lone Star, and then saying that she'd be throwing an open bag this year.
It's sponsored by OTB East.
Yeah, so congratulations to Lisa. Very cool to see. Also, we talked about it in the regular show, but just to quickly tack on, Alden Harris kind of overshadowed a little bit today in the sense of all the other madness that was going on, but Alden Harris also signing an agreement with One Disc Mania. So congratulations to Alden Harris. I believe his was a 2-year deal.
I believe.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, 2-year deal.
His was 2-year, seeing a 3-year deal for one Gannon Buhr, and then a 5-year deal that went along with Eagle McMahon. All those announced earlier.
Stacey Ronsley extended her sponsorship with Castoplast.
Excellent.
And we saw Macy Veladiaz pick up a bag sponsor.
Yes.
So she is currently without a disc sponsor because of, I think we talked about it a few weeks ago.
Yeah. And so we'll see how that shakes out. Obviously, Macy Veladiaz making an announcement, pregnant, and we'll be playing less events this upcoming year.
Yeah, she's sponsored by Grip EQ as her bag sponsor.
Okay. I know Grip, for instance, has been very diligent in making quite a few posts with reference to who's on their various Grip EQ teams. I've been seeing those pop up on Facebook quite a bit. So I love it. And I will say this.
You think Grip?
I love that they roll them out.
Yeah, me too.
It's not just, I feel like then sometimes people have a higher tendency of getting overshadowed or overlooked because you see 40 people all announcing their sponsorship to either they just signed or retained with Grip in this case. But instead, I feel like I'm seeing 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 maybe announced one day, or maybe it's 5 or 10, and then the next day it's an entirely different set of people that are announcing it. So they're staggering them out. And for that reason, I think it makes it a little bit more impactful, at least within my Facebook algorithms and my Instagram algorithms.
Yeah, I was just wondering if...
It may be different for you.
If you can cut 2 little holes in the bottom of your grip bag, drop your baby right in there, you got your little baby Bjorn going on.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
I mean, I think it just works.
Yes. Good call.
Kids, don't try that at home.
I'm going to read off the board. If you're new here, which I know some of you are, you might be wondering, what the hell are these guys rambling about? Here's the deal.
Anything we want.
In the regular show, we usually go over some news and things going on within disc golf. Then we usually have anywhere from 1 to 3 guests, sometimes no guests. We talk about kind of the nuts and bolts of everything that's going on in disc golf. Then we take a quick break, and we go into what we then call an after show. An after show means, well, anything's game. Oftentimes, it will involve quite a bit of continued disc golf conversation, but sometimes it goes completely off the rails into 100% unrelated things that have nothing to do with disc golf. And often we are reacting to and engaging with people that are out on our YouTube chat board. That is the most common place. So if you've got a question or there's something you'd like to say or point out, sometimes you may say something. I may just take it and reword it and pass it off as a unique thought of my own. But go ahead and join in on the chat if you want. And also in the after show, we pull our weekly giveaway where if you're a Patreon supporter of ours, that requires just $1 a month to be part of that action.
Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
A minimum of $1 a month gets you eligible to win as part of our giveaway that happens every single week, where we pull from our Patreon pool along with a few people that go out and sign up on the web as well. All right. Just wanted to get that out there.
There were some PDGA events this particular weekend. As you talked about, the Savannah Open happened this particular weekend.
Do we see anyone win that?
No, nobody won. It was a lot of ties.
Oh, there was a tie for first.
There was a tie for first. You're right, Terry.
And then what happened?
Isaac Robinson wins that.
Oh, good job, Isaac.
Yeah. I'm just going to pull up the... There it is, Savannah Open. That's the AM. Whoops. Bam.
Savannah AM. Is that a missed opportunity for them to call it the Savannah AM?
Savannah AM. No, it's not. It's not. Isaac Robinson wins this.
Oh, there wasn't I thought there was a playoff.
No, there wasn't.
Just kidding.
Isaac Robinson wins over Ezra Robinson. Third place, Grady Shue. Fourth place, Cameron Messerschmidt. Fifth place, Jacob Chesser. And we'll go over down to FPO in what I would argue is an upset. Leah Sinigini wins this. She shot a 930 and a 948, so above her rating by 15 to 30 points, beating out Amber Jones, Eliezra Middling, Nina Guerrero, and then Paige Shue. So there's a lot of talk right now about Eliezra's future. She hasn't talked about a disc manufacturer as a primary sponsor yet. So I think she is really one of the people that people are waiting on. I don't even know if she's going to, but people are waiting on her to do it. But Leah Siningini coming in with the win, winning $426 this weekend. So
yeah, certainly. Congrats to Leah. And I don't think it's insulting or out of line to call it, like you said, an upset there.
Yeah, I mean, Paige Shue is a 950 rated player. She beat her by
returning champ.
Yep, and she beat her by 11 strokes. And then, like I said, Ellie Ezra, who crushes discs, she got beat by 4 strokes. So
yeah, so very much congrats.
And of course, we'll talk about it because it's the MP40 division. Brian Schweberger wins over Michael Johansson by 6 strokes. Congratulations, Schwebby, on getting win number, I think it's 392 technically. It says 391 career wins on the PDGA, but I don't know if that one's counted yet.
It should be.
Is it? Well,
yeah.
I thought he had said 392, but maybe I'm wrong here. PDGA says 391.
Either way, Schwebby's got another win.
He's ahead of us. That's what I'm saying. I think he's going to beat us to his big round number.
Right. Anything else in terms of PDGA events out there that jumped out at you that you saw? That was being one of the bigger ones, and then also that's where I remembered there being a playoff.
There was a playoff at the Estero Open 9, presented by Friction Gloves, supported by Innova.
There wasn't a playoff there either. I mean, here's an interesting turn of events. I'll break this down.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just break this down quickly. Only because I'm going to paraphrase from what I remember seeing on Facebook a couple days, yesterday or the day before. I saw Charlie Goodpasture had a solid opening round. I think he was in the lead after the opening day and shooting very well. Made a post saying he's hoping to get this A-tier win under his belt. It would be his first as a pro A-tier, which is honestly quite surprising to me, knowing how long Charlie's been around and how good of a player he is down in Florida. And then on either Sunday night or Monday, he made a post saying, hey, it kind of came down to the last hole. Me and Zach Arlinghouse, good battle. He put on the pressure. He had caught me, and, it was this great battle. And I came out victorious, super happy. Thanks to everyone. All very, very normal stuff. Congratulations to Charlie Goodpasture. Today, just before driving here to the podcast, I see that Charlie Goodpasture on his Facebook in my feed says something to the effect of, it sounds as if I played a hole incorrectly during the tournament. This has been brought to my attention along with a number of other players that had misplayed a hole during the tournament. And long story short, congratulations. Zach Arlinghouse is, in fact, the champion of the tournament.
Which is funny because I saw on social media yesterday, I believe, someone say Zach Arlinghouse got, and this is someone else's words, Zach Arlinghouse got robbed on a Mando call. Got robbed of a win on a Mando call. And I was like, oh. And at first I thought, like, maybe with the way the PDGA rules have been adjusting and changing, my first thought from seeing that was, oh, Zach must have missed a Mando. Somebody, they played it wrong, and then, whatever. And because I had seen Zach took second. So I was like, oh, all right, whatever. I didn't think much more of it other than I saw Charlie win.
Yeah, well, I now that I've pulled it back up, again, looking at his Facebook, I wanted to... I'll scroll to the bottom where he says, I thought about it, and at the time I didn't think I misplayed the hole, but after further post-event discussion with a cardmate and an apology from the TD, I definitely did, as in played the hole wrong. Then he says, Zach Arlinghouse is the Estero Open, presented by Fiction Gloves, supported by Innova Champion. Again, what an awkward and obviously disappointing and frustrating. I mean, there's probably a million emotions, and I can't imagine what he and Zach and everyone else is probably going through, the tournament directors, anyone else that misplayed at some point during the event, as he alluded to. Certainly an unfortunate situation for it to just kind of be this awkward. And the fact that we're seeing, I'm seeing this post, and to see a tournament, for lack of a better term, reversed or adjusted after it was all said and done.
You don't see it very often, not in the A tiers and things.
Yeah,
or
that's
even
kind of
B
my
tiers.
point is this stuff like this has happened, but it's very, very rare. And then, like you said, at an A tier level. So I hope everyone, you could definitely say there were some lessons learned, and I don't mean that in any kind of a negative tone. Clearly, everyone learned some lessons here, whether you're on the good or bad end of one or whatever. Certainly some lessons learned. So interesting to note is what I would say in seeing that today. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, Charlie starts by saying, well, there's no way to say this that makes it any easier. And he goes on to say, I didn't play a hole correctly this weekend, which is in the end 100% my fault.
It's got to be gut-wrenching thinking you had your first A-tier win, which is what he's looking for. And then I don't want to say to have it taken away, but it kind of was, even if he does admit fault on his side, just to think like there was a time. I mean, at least now he knows what it feels like to win an A-tier. He might not have it, but
yeah,
at least he knows what it feels like to win.
There you go. Schwebby does make the clarification on the board and says 392 is now his win count. So as you said, Johnny, but it looks like, I don't know, it's not PDGA official in my book if I can't see the PDGA. Sam Martin asked a question and said, I know I keep asking, but does Discmania own the name Crush Boys, or is that open to be reused?
That's open to be reused because Crush Boys, I believe, was never any sort of like patented or I mean, they marketed, but I think that was more of a social moniker of those two. Now,
again, and that's just your assumption. My assumption is the same, that I don't think they would have trademarked that. Obviously, a few minutes of looking, we could probably find if it had been or not. Somebody else, I know I've seen a few other people make comments about the Smash Brothers. And I feel like that's far more protected probably in some Mario capacity.
Don't go with Super Smash Bros. Or something weird like that.
I don't know if that's your way of trying to get around calling them Crush Boys, but...
Well, in Simon's video, he asked in his comments, what can we call ourselves? Should we... Because it felt like they wanted to get away from...
Crush Boys.
Boys.
Probably for a new beginning and everything else.
And they're older now. They don't feel like they're boys anymore. They're more men. Boys to Men, maybe?
Yeah. I don't think that's been used.
Never.
We've come to the end of the road.
And so I think Eagle threw out Gyro Guys.
Okay.
Didn't stick with me personally.
If you're looking at it wrong, will look like the halal guys.
That's what
Euro guys.
That's what everyone was saying. It looked like Euro guys. But anyway, I'm sure we'll come up with something soon to figure out what we're gonna moniker those two as.
I'm gonna just call them Totes and Adorbs. Totes Adorbs. I like it. Big news and excitement that I guess I have a little more closer tie to. Hi, Thailand. I do. Latitude 64 graciously stepped up to be the presenting sponsor of our Samui Swine that's taking place in just a couple of weeks. And there's always a challenge. We will beat this to death until it changes. That getting DIS onto the island is one of the biggest obstacles, just because tariffs and import taxes and all this other stuff.
So they're driving them
can
there.
Be insane. Latitude built a Lego submarine and ascending.
Nice.
No. Latitude has worked with us, and I believe somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 DIS showing up in Samui, on the island of Samui, that are either Samui swine stamped custom DIS or Maynam, Samui disc golf stamped disc. So they're arriving. They're going to be part of the players pack and part of the overall experience, and also some souvenir discs that can be bought. This shouldn't be such big news, and it wouldn't be if it weren't such a big hill to climb and such a big challenge. So I want to say yet again, and I'll say it a lot of times, big shout out and big thanks to Latitude 64 working with us, supporting the event. We're looking forward to an incredible event. I know I talked last weekend about how we had to expand the registration to fit in more people during the pro the pro version of the weekend.
Mhm.
So big thing, and more people are signing up, which has been very cool to see. So huge thank you to Latitude 64, and looking forward to seeing all the players and competitors there on the island.
Something that was announced by the PDGA last Wednesday was Doug Bjerkes being named the PDGA Executive Director.
Yes.
It happened right after our podcast. PDGA, you know better than that. Come on. But Doug has made a few rounds, I think, on some of the podcasts, just chatting with some people, and it was one of our predictions that we thought there was, him. There's a few other people in the PDGA that I felt could have possibly fulfilled the role, and we knew the PDGA was looking inward. So Doug Bjerkes comes in and is named the PDGA Executive Director. I don't know, honestly. I'll have to take a look if what that means for the current position he was in. If someone is stepping up immediately to fulfill that, but yeah, we have a new executive director, which is funny because I kind of feel like had it been, and before Doug was announced, I know I had publicly gone out and said I would love to see them possibly look outward of the PDGA, which they chose not to, and that's totally within their rights and fine. But had you brought in someone from the outside, I feel like there could have been a little bit more overlap with Joe Chargaloff as far as job duties and how you do the job. I feel like with Doug, he can probably just step right in practically. He doesn't necessarily need the hand-holding from Joe that may have been required for a different candidate. So Joe can just, kick his feet up now and throw in some board shorts and just be done.
Congratulations, Doug Bjerkes. I know one of the questions that got talked about was, when Doug was leaving the PDGA, leaving
DD.
Dynamic Disc. Oh, let's spit it out. When he was leaving there, was that kind of with the predetermined notion or idea that executive director would be a role that he would then, be looking to at the PDGA. And when he left, that was not necessarily the case. This timeline and evolution worked out that way, but that wasn't, the exclusive intention or anything in terms of his leaving. I think which I thought was a very fair question to ask. Great guy. Obviously, we could go on and on for hours about him. Very well deserved. Thank you to Joe Chargaloff and everything you've done. And Doug will be stepping into that role next. Another thing, the announcement we just missed by a few hours, literally last week. Allie Smith was giving kind of a local private release as to who her new sponsor was last week during our podcast hour, I think. Right? Did we announce it?
I think that was 2 weeks ago.
Or was that 2 weeks ago?
I think it was 2 weeks ago. But you can talk about it.
Yeah, Allie Smith. I'm seeing her also on the Team Grip EQ. But Allie Smith, exciting to see that she has landed herself a new sponsor. She's with ThoughtSpace and
Correct.
Infinite. So congratulations to her. Best of luck. Big shout out. I know a regular Smashy in Jordan Castro, I think, celebrating some birthday action.
A big round
recently.
number, right?
Yeah, 30.
Wow.
Oh, we just doxed him. Sorry.
Sorry.
No, happy birthday to you, Jordan
He
Castro.
doesn't feel like he should be 30.
No, well, because I met Jordan in 2014 at the Minnesota Amateur Championships,
Which would have made him 20.
which
Or
was
19, 20-ish, 21.
it was May of 2014, and it was one of our very early Smashbox broadcasts. Again, that was the first year we were broadcasting, and in doing so, we wanted to go over there and kind of get some more reps in, so to speak. So we filmed live the Minnesota Amateur Championships. That's where I first had met Jordan Castro. A couple months later, saw Jordan performing well, and he was in the top 4 and finished there in terms of the AM Worlds in Minnesota, which we also broadcast a little bit live as well. So happy birthday to you, Jordan Castro. I'll be probably seeing him this weekend. Something else I saw that was of note, the Swedish Disc Golf Pro Tour made a note of, an announcement of a media partnership with Gatekeeper Media. So best of luck to them. We'll see what that's going to provide to us, the rest of the world, in terms of more coverage of the Swedish Disc Golf Pro Tour and Gatekeeper Media. I'm trying to think of anything else that we've been seeing kind of hitting the airwaves, Johnny. You got anything else that you've been thinking of?
No, I thought I saw that the PDG or the DGBT was opening up their registration this week for the first wave of events, but I haven't been able to see anything on the PDGA site yet.
What you might be thinking of is at least there's an opportunity for spectator passes.
Oh, was it spectator tickets?
Passes through the first third-ish of the year. I think that's what we're seeing is that those have been released. I don't think about actual signups. Another quick shout out.
Well, I would really, on a personal note, get that registration up. Start making those events. I need those PDGA IDs.
Yeah.
For Skip Base.
For Johnny.
For me. Again, I did say it was personal. I did say I need to start getting that stuff taken care of. And tick-tock. We're a month away from All-Star break here. So just a little over a month till our first event. Let's get those PDGA registrations up and running.
Yes. Johnny has fantasy disc golf to run here, people. So get your stuff together. So
I got stuff I got to take care of.
Speaking of taking care of stuff, Steve Dodge has a new podcast.
He's already changed formats.
I know. I'm reading it right now. He says, little new format. I was getting bored with the other one. It had been a whole 2 days. Let me know if you like this better. I feel a touch more free to be me. I don't know if there's any free touches with that guy. I've been there.
He charges for him?
I've been there, done that. Steve Dodge trying to give you a daily disc golf podcast. I talked to him about this idea a few months ago. It sounded very not aggressive, not adventurous. What's the word I'm looking for? Lot of work, a lot of effort. Very starts with an A.
Ambitious.
Thank you. Wow, it's been a long night. Sounds
you
very
screwed
ambitious.
up a lot of words now.
I did. I struggled.
You screwed up Smashbox. You couldn't even spit out Smashbox Tattoo.
I'm new here. Okay. Steve Dodge with a very ambitious idea for his podcast. I like it. It kind of gives you this daily breakdown, a couple different topics that will then cycle week after week. So on Mondays, you would typically get this topic. On Tuesdays, you may get that topic, so on and so forth. And wants to give it to you all in 10 minutes or less, I believe is kind of the idea. I listened to one the other day, just yesterday. I like the idea. I think just that it's going to be very ambitious to try and stay on top of that. If it was your full-time job, exclusively, I could see how that you could make that work. It's going to be a lot of work. And Steve Dodge trying some more new stuff. So best of luck.
It's the same thing we do. Nice, short,
concise
bites of information.
Daily. Yeah, okay, or none of that. So again, best of luck to him and the rest of the crew.
Sam Martin says, JVD, with the PDGA buying Statmando, are you worried about the PDGA locking down stats and blocking you for Skip Ace? I remember 15 years ago, the MLB trying. No, I'm not. The guys and girls at the PDGA are very open with a lot of their stats. I think they're trying to be very thorough with their stat collection. So I'm really actually more excited with the PDGA and Statmando that I might be able to get access to some additional stuff that I wasn't able to get access to before in the future. Not this year, and maybe not even next year, but I am really excited. I've been working with my developer on Skip Ace daily, quite literally daily. Today he handed off the first big update of 2 that should come out with live scoring. So I'm able to tie into the PDGA with live scoring for the format that we currently have, and we're working on a new format that we hope to have done in the next 2 weeks, so we can open up registrations for everybody by very early February. That's the goal, assuming that the PDGA and the DGPT put the events on the PDGA site.
Are you waiting on that? Yeah, they're definitely worried about.
I know they're totally worried
your
about
needs.
Me. They're out there on disc golf scene right now. Nobody has registered. Nobody has signed up yet. They're just not in the PDGAs yet. So I mean, I'd love it if they were, because I could get some stuff done. But I understand that they're not. Maybe they're busy. I don't know.
Come on, guys. Get your work done for Johnny.
Come
on. Nina Guerrero, who I mentioned earlier, you had mentioned actually finishing in the top few spots at Savannah Open. I believe she also has a new sponsorship in being with Gateway Disc. So I want to throw that out there and get that mentioned in there since we were just talking about her a few moments ago. Prediction for Shelly Sharp is the question or comment coming in from Parker Welk, who's on the board. Parker says, AB said, I never beat him in Arizona again. So as some of you noticed, Parker Welk, your champ at the Big Arm Challenge, bigger arm than AB, Big Arm Challenge champion, Parker Welk, sounds like he's got a little beef with one Anthony Barella, or Barella making a big claim on his home turf. And we're going to see how that's going to work out this weekend. Of our last conversation...
Well, Parker Welk is the 5th highest rated player.
Didn't matter at Big Arm.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm laying it out there. Barella's first, then Kale, Andrew Marweed, Drew Gibson, Parker Welk.
So, interestingly enough, the top 4 competitors in this weekend's field at the Shelly Sharp, also all 4 previous champions of this event. Also, likely a first-round feature card.
For who, Terry?
I don't know. I was thinking about filming.
Really? Were you?
Yes. Look for
Feeling
Shelly
cute,
Sharp.
might film?
Yeah. Might edit later. Yes, Shelly Sharp coming up this weekend. Looking forward to getting out there, getting the footage. Going to try and turn that around next day. We're also going to film, and may or may not turn on quite next day, but very shortly after, filming some FPO action. And I'm excited. That's a new addition.
Yeah, Owen Scoggins, Jennifer Allen are the 2 top-rated FPL players, and we have heard literally nothing about Owen Scoggins all offseason. And I don't believe she's changing sponsors, or she has changed sponsors. I think we know that. Innova tends to do 1-year sponsorship agreements. At least that's the way it's been in the past with most of their players.
Sure. Yep.
So I believe that's, if I were to take a guess, I would guess that Owen is on a recurring 1-year sponsorship. She is the 2nd highest rated FPO player in the world. I'd have to take a look if she's still that. I think Kristen Tatar is 1st, and Owen is 2nd at 982 right now.
Dang.
So we're going to get a chance to see her debut, let her knock some rust off and, miss that first 28-footer and then can the next 27 of them in a row.
I doubt she'll miss the first one.
I thought maybe she had a little rust on her.
We'll see. But Owen Scoggins has just registered or gotten into the event in the last few days, because I do remember I've been kind of keeping a close eye on the registration list for the event, which has like 100 people deep on the waiting list or something of that nature. But excited to see the competition stiffen up a little bit there on the FPO side. And again, looking forward to a great battle on the MPO side.
So Parker Welk asked for a prediction.
He asked for a prediction?
Yeah.
I mean...
So I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to take Andrew Marweed for the win.
Okay. I mean, I think it's rude to say anyone but Parker, because he's the one listening.
Well, that's why I
love
said
you,
it.
Parker. Honestly, yeah. I mean,
if any of those top 5 guys won, it's not shocking.
Yeah, clearly.
Barella, LaVisca, Marweed, Gibson,
Connor
Welk.
Rocks from Arizona. It plays very well.
Yes, he does.
Has bust onto the scene in the last couple of years in terms of like regularly saying his name when you're out there. I filmed Andrew Miranda during the Big Arm Challenge. He struggled there, but clearly a solid player. Also, I mean, it should be a good battle no matter how you cut it. So, MP40 field, I think Pete Ulibarri is your top contender. Jeremy Mount, who's on tour and playing quite a bit this year. He's talked about it, traveling around. Andrew Bohm, again, another solid player along with Jeff Wilson. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Should be a good weekend overall, and we'll see how it goes. Quick quick note, I was welcomed. I think that's a fair word. I was welcomed on the Six-Sided Disc podcast. Had a great conversation with Greg recently.
I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I've done some work with him and some advertising when I covered an event a few years ago. He wanted to step up. They originally were kind of focused on making mystery boxes and doing all this other really cool stuff when they came into the scene a couple years ago. Now he's taking a more full-blown approach to it, obviously filling out his website in terms of offerings for discs, but then creating some content on YouTube. He's continuing to grow and then also making a podcast. I think that's going to be out sometime in the next couple of weeks. But we had a really good conversation. So I wanted to say thank you again to Greg. And then last week, I don't know if it's out yet, to be honest with you. Last week, I was a guest on the Shanked podcast, or Hanging Loose along with Spicy Boy and Shanked. Hanging Loose is their podcast. I don't know if I should be offended because it's by AMs, 4 AMs, and then they had me on.
Well,
I don't even care if my rating.
They know where your skill level is these days.
But nonetheless, I was on their podcast, and I don't know what their release schedule looks like as well. But I wanted to say thank you to the guys over at Hanging Loose. I think they're 7 or 8 podcasts in. They had Jeremy London on just last week as well, and that's the latest one that's out. And then I think mine will probably, where I'm on, will probably drop in the next day or two.
That's a great get, as we said. I think we talked about it last week that he was on that podcast, Jeremy London. So I'm excited.
Yeah. So another disc golf podcast to check out. I think it was Bobby Brown that made a post recently talking about how
he counted like 45 or something, and then he
disc
stopped.
Golf podcasts that are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So continue to grow. There's plenty of room for plenty of different angles and ways to go about it. So get on it. That's your thing.
Yeah. That's your thing.
Is there going to be are we going to see a revival or a resurgence of the fantasy disc golf podcast of sorts, or what's your plan there?
I would like to. I know I started out nice, hot, and heavy last year, and I let it tail off once the season got going, and my job for the Pro Tour started kicking in more. This year, I'm only doing probably 2, maybe 3 Pro Tour events. As far as switching, as far as I know. So I think I'll have a little bit more time to dedicate to doing the podcast for fantasy disc golf. Just kind of summarizing points, and having a new league structure is going to be a little bit different. It'll be a little bit more fun. Last year, I had quite a few. I would go back and look, and we'll see how it looks this year. And if I find a co-host or anyone that wants to join me, or anyone that wants to do it instead of me, I don't care. I ain't that way. But no, I'm excited. I'm hoping to be able to delve back into the Skip Ace fantasy podcast.
Sweet. I think that's about all that I got here, Johnny. Yeah. I'm sure there's gonna be like 6 things I'll think of that I maybe wanted to talk about that now I've completely forgotten about, but that's about it for me.
Did you get to watch the Packer game?
Not really, I guess would be the short answer. This weekend, very jam-packed, especially on Sunday when it came to a basically an all-day volleyball tournament for my oldest daughter, and then left that actually just a tad early to go to the state competition for competitive cheerleading for my other daughter. And so Sunday was pretty much consumed by that. I did get the last few minutes of the game when things were pretty much obviously all locked up.
It was all locked up way earlier than that.
Exactly. So I did listen to some of it in the car while I was driving to these events, but I saw very, very little. I think I saw the last few minutes of the game, which clearly didn't matter much. But obviously a huge upset in terms of the Packers taking down the Dallas Cowboys this weekend, and lots of fun, and Wisconsin going crazy over that.
It was a great day for Wisconsin sports. The Bucks hit a game winner from looked like 10 feet behind the 3-point line to beat, was it the Kings? I think it was the Kings. The whole crowd at the arena was chanting "Go Pack Go" at the Bucks arena. So it was just in general a really good thing. And we're going to go into San Francisco and probably get our butts kicked, but I assumed we were probably going to lose against Dallas the way they were playing. So I'm hopeful, but realistic.
Okay, well, we'll see how it goes. We'll see if that train keeps rolling. Cody is on the board, and if you guys don't have any more questions, well, if you do have any more, put them up there quickly here for us, and we can address them. But Cody's on the board saying, have they talked about Dutch yet? Absolutely.
We had almost an hour
2
conversation with Dutch.
Yeah, we had Dutch, just as a quick timestamp, I feel like it was about an hour and 15 minutes into the overall show. We had Eagle for the first hour and 15 minutes, and then we had Dutch join us at that point. And then he was on with us for 45 minutes to an hour
It was a Dutch sandwich.
Yes. I don't know where I want to go with that.
You shouldn't.
I like talking enough. I'd like to try my hand at running a vlog of my favorite sport.
Says Bradley Burke.
Yeah, Bradley.
Yeah, go for it. Start up a vlog. No reason not to.
Coming in from Australia, Luke Turnbull, who I'm looking forward to seeing also in Thailand in a few weeks, says, any news about the return of the Aussie Open? Timed to align with the WIFDIF Team World Championships in Perth, Australia. I believe I saw this earlier that it feels like most of November into December. Like if you're ever going to go to Australia for some disc golf, next like November, December timeframe, it sounds like you have a plethora of exciting things to partake in. And Australia is going to be hosting some great disc golf stuff. So, Luke, I think that's what you were fishing for, right? Tell me if I got it wrong, but I think that's what you were talking about, which is pretty exciting for sure. I can certainly recommend time in Australia. Time in Australia with Luke and Kinga, that's just priceless. So if somehow you got that lucky, you better be going.
Well, everyone else better be going to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV, where you can sign up to be a Patreon supporter of the podcast. If you really enjoy the thorough interviews that we do with the likes of Eagle McMahon, Dutch Napier, Gannon Buhr, we get things out of these guys that nobody else does. Maybe nobody else wants them, but it doesn't matter.
We get them anyway.
You can be a supporter of SmashBoxxTV for as little as $1 a month. You can be eligible for our weekly giveaways. This week, we have 138 people eligible for our giveaway, Terry. Terry Miller, what number?
We had 3 guests, so I think we have to pick the third number here in the list.
I've sorted them by email address.
Oh, that feels like such a default for you.
Well, it's easiest. Default is usually email or first name.
Okay, I mean,
I switch
you
back
want to
and
be
forth.
a basic bitch like that.
Sometimes I do by supported amount. But
Okay.
It's just easy though.
That's how it's going to
I can resort.
No,
them.
don't. I don't want to put you out.
Our first number was 132. Our second number is 7. Our third
Higher than that.
And final number is 132.
I think the first one was 122, or I just missaw it.
Maybe it was 122.
Oh,
I don't know. I hit it pretty fast. But 132 is the number. 132.
All right.
So that's at the very bottom. Will Marsh. Will Marsh. I didn't have to scroll at all because it was already at the bottom. So congratulations, Will. You've been a Patreon supporter for, it looks like, about 22 months. So thank you very much, Will. We will. I'll give you that. I'll give that information to Terry, and he'll reach out to you.
And you were correct. It was 132 twice.
Wow. Okay.
You gotta feel terrible if you were would have been 130 or no, you feel good because it was you.
Well,
it was
132. You were like,
you lost it, and then you came back. But Will Marsh, it was definitely your night.
It's
to win.
Yeah. Like
that's crazy.
Random.org wanted you to win.
It certainly did.
Okay, I thought it was 132.
Yeah, you were right. I confirmed.
132.
I was wrong. You were right. I didn't get a good look.
Yeah.
So thank you so much to Will. All right, Freddie says good show. I mean, I don't know if I can. I don't think we can fish for a bigger compliment than that. It's a good show. We'll take it. So thank you, Freddie. Thank you to everyone that joined. Again, I know there were some of you that were new, that have never seen our show before. Some of you haven't been here in a while, and you decided to check back, and you're still here with us.
We're still here.
We're still here. 489 episodes later. Next week, I want to throw this out there. Next week, I think I will just about be landing in Singapore during our showtime, which means I won't be available because I'll probably be maybe either on the runway or not quite landed in Singapore. Johnny, you're going to be talking to a intern Ben, I believe.
Yep.
From the Disc Golf Northeast Disc Golf Expo. He'll be at least one of your guests. You might have more than him, but I know he is slated to talk about the Northeast Disc Golf Expo.
And he's not our intern.
No, he is not. He is over at Staggered Stands. And
Although
I know
he can be. Well, I'm not paying him, but he could be.
Yeah. I mean, now that he's got promoted over there, now he could be intern here.
That's right.
We need the help.
We need a lot of help.
Hey, if you like to chop up podcasts and you'd like to chop up and make a little shorter media clips, we could also talk. Maybe we genuinely could use an intern or a little help in that capacity. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in doing, don't hesitate to send me a message. We'd love to talk to you about it. All right, folks. Thank you, and thank you for joining. The next few weeks will be a little crazy. Like I said, next week I'm not likely going to be on the show. The 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 weeks after that, I will do my best to probably join. It'll be 7 or 8 in the morning in Thailand.
Just what you love.
Just what I don't love. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll have those conversations as we get a little bit closer. But hopefully I'll be here, and hopefully I'll be able to give you some Southeast Asia insight from there on location. I've done that in previous years, so looking forward to it. Episode 49's After Show. Yet again, congratulations to all of the new sponsorship alignments, both for the teams, the players, the caddies, the sponsors, the supporters, the loved ones, the families. It's all pretty exciting time, and 2024 season's just a few weeks away from really getting fully kicked out and off. For Johnny V, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. That's 49's After Show. We'll see you next week. You step inside the Smashbox.